and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
This is a man who says he likes logic and reality, but when his defense is playing people out of position and allowing people to score at a rate at historical proportions, and say that he's got a good defense. All logic just went out the window. I'm done. Have a good day.
It did not go out of the window. It doesn't go out the window. All right, so he is actually done. There's Solomon Wilcots joining us. He is walking away. Thank you, Solomon. There's your level of emotional intelligence. There's Solomon Wilcots and apparently a doctor that has a heart monitor.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, here we go. Here we go, Red Friday, heading into Championship Sunday, heading into incredibly long, how in the hell is it only noon Saturday? Why is it only 2 o'clock Saturday? What else do I have to do to get through Saturday into a Championship Sunday? 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us to be a part of the show. 913-912-4810 to join us to weigh in your opinion, your thoughts on the game coming up 5:30 on Sunday, where the Chiefs are now a 1.5 favorite. So in the last 24 hours, that has moved 2.5 points from the Chiefs +1 to now Chiefs -1.5. So now clearly the disrespected Bengals can play that card.
Plucky underdogs.
Nobody believes in us. Everybody thought we were going to lose. You guys all picked against us. They were selling tickets to a mythical game. The Bengals-Jags game, selling tickets to that mythical game. Yes, we will talk a lot of football today. We'll hear from some of the players in the locker room from yesterday. Good stuff from Nate and Steven in the locker room. They killed it. Along with the Chiefs' chances of winning, because Willie Gay just ruined everything. If it wasn't for Nate and Steven, if Nate and Steven hadn't been there, there would be no talk about Willie Gay all over the country and in Cincinnati, ESPN this morning, Good Morning Football, all about Willie Gay, but really Nate Bukaty. What in the actual heck? Why do you guys hate the Chiefs, you rabble-rousers?
You know what impressed me about Nate and Steven's performance in the locker room?
What's that?
Nothing.
That's right. Okay.
Oh, man. Look, dude, we got to Friday, and then we got the really, really convoluted bulletin board material out of Willie Gay literally trying to say nothing. And then literally saying nothing, and then that being the problem.
Well, there will be a lot of things said over the next 4 hours. We'll talk with Matt Derrick, 11 o'clock, Kendall Gammon, noon, Mick Schaefer coming up at about 12:30, and then we'll see who we'll hear from the Chiefs. What's the old saying? When it's all said and done, there will be a whole lot more said than done. I think that's less this week than it was the week leading up to the December 4th matchup.
Still a lot of talking.
There is, but there hasn't really. There was a lot of talking because the beginning of the week. And I think we around here, whether it be Twitter, fans, media, gas bags on the air, I think we hear the Burrowhead. And then you hear what Mike Hilton, was it Mike Hilton or Bates that said no excuses? I want him to be 100%, so there's no excuses. Essentially, I'm adding my editorial here. When we win, I don't want an excuse for why we won. I want him to be fully healthy.
Jesse Bates
that said that. So those two things were said, but what's been said since then?
Nothing,
right, except for then Willie Gay. There's been questions about what they're saying, questions about Burrowhead, questions about those on Twitter and the conversations nationally, and Kelsey and the New Heights podcast talking about it. So when we say, boy, there's a lot of talk going on, there's really only been like 3 comments, right? Burrowhead, no excuses, nothing is all there's been. But the week leading up to December 4th, it was Justin Reed. He went back to Twitter. There was like 4 or 5 different Bengals players weighing in. social media and on the record in front of a microphone. So I feel like that buildup was a lot more of the talking, even though it was just one Chiefs comment by Justin Reed. But then he went to Twitter before the game, went to Twitter, and then that's when the whole Twitter spat started. This week's just been a few. It's just been a few. But it's a long week leading up to it.
That's right.
It's a long week leading up to it. And there are 2 games this weekend. And the entire NFL nation, world, will be on Eagles 49ers, Chiefs Bengals on Sunday. And there are so many different ways to break the games down that Chiefs Bengals is the far more interesting, compelling game to me. And that's not just because we're here. I think if it was a different city outside of Philadelphia and San Francisco, I think if you're saying which game is the most compelling this weekend, is it the really good Eagles against 49ers and Brock Purdy, and it's a fun matchup, they're pretty good teams, or Burrow, Mahomes, part 4, ankle, trash talking, Burrowhead, AFC superiority, who then becomes the hunted next couple of years, whoever wins. Whereas Eagles, good team, good roster, good quarterback in how Jalen Hurts is playing, good weapons, good defense. They can get back to the Super Bowl with young head coach Nick Sirianni. Like they got to the Super Bowl with young, in terms of experience, head coach Doug Peterson. 49ers, Shanahan, can he get to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy? But the Bengals Chiefs is the far more compelling and fascinating game, and that's why there feels like there's been a whole lot of trash talk between the Chiefs and the Bengals, because when you discuss the game, part of what you're discussing nationally and locally is, well, you know, there's all this trash talk going on. You know, there's all this talk. There's bulletin board material. When really in front of a microphone, there's only been one, and that was Jesse Bates that said, I hope he's 100%. I don't want any excuses in that game. But I just need to get to 5:30. Just need to get to 5:30. And while I can't wait to get to 5:30, my stomach is in knots thinking about when 5:30 gets here and then what 8:45 or 9 o'clock will feel like. Because it is the entire gamut of just emotions. I mean, just I'm in a tornado of emotions here. Mm-hmm. It could be one way. Like on Monday at 10 o'clock, we either have one of the highest listenerships that we've had in a long time, or everybody turns the radio off and goes radio silent and doesn't want to listen to anything and doesn't read anything, doesn't get on Twitter, and you just simply go dark for a couple of days because you don't want to see it or hear it or read about it or anything like that. And there's legacy on the line. There's obviously Super Bowl on the line. There's trash talking on the line. There's superiority on the line. There's face of the NFL people are talking about being on the line. It's as monumental, it feels like, of a matchup in a championship game since early Brady Manning. Like when it was like, is Manning's the better quarterback, but Brady keeps winning. Manning's better, but Brady keeps winning. Manning's the much better, more talented quarterback. Look at all these numbers. I mean, Brady's a good quarterback, but you just can't beat Brady in the postseason. Early on, superiority for the AFC, and we know what happened. The superiority was the Patriots. I'm not saying that's the position the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is not Peyton Manning to Joe Burrow's Tom Brady, but it feels like it's been a long time since there has been this much of a buildup for what it could mean for an entire conference moving forward than this game on Sunday.
I think the only other recent example would be Chiefs-Bills, but you can see what happens when that becomes a little bit one-sided. It was Chiefs-Bills, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and then the Chiefs showed that, well, that rivalry, a legitimate rivalry, two really good teams, but it's been a bit one-sided. And if the Bengals win on Sunday, they are going to have that argument which is a wild place to be. I think you're right about where these conference championship games are at. The NFC game is an undercard. It is a couple of quarterbacks proving that they belong. Look, Jalen Hurts had a borderline MVP season, and Brock Purdy has been good since he got into the starting lineup. But this is like them establishing themselves in the NFL. Mahomes and Burrow are in their second or third acts in the Super Bowl, whichever one wins, obviously. Burrow's either going back-to-back, or Mahomes will go to his third in a very short period of time.
4 years. 3 out of 4.
An incredible window. But what Chiefs and Bengals has, and it's why it's a lot of talking, not just from the teams, but like around the NFL world, and more talking is good for more talkers because it gives the talkers more to talk about.
I like it.
But Chiefs-Bengals feels like it is going to set the tone for a while. Not just this offseason, not just what the title defense campaign could look like if either the AFC teams win the whole thing, not just the conversations about the face of the NFL going forward being Mahomes or Burrow, but all of that all rolled up into one to the point that whoever is on the wrong side of it, they are now the challenger. They are going to have to be the team or the quarterback that unseats the other one. And that hasn't really been a threat for Mahomes since he became Patrick F. Mahomes. I know his middle name's Levon. There's a silent F at the beginning. I add it sometimes. And so seeing where this leads all of us, and look, if Mahomes has a valiant performance on a bum ankle and the defense lets him down, that'll soften the narrative for him in particular. It's not going to soften the narrative around Kansas City, though. It's not going to soften an offseason. This is a team, being the Chiefs, that lived with the bitter taste in their mouths from everything that the Bengals fed to them last year. Then they had a chance to maybe just get a little bit of a palate cleanser in the regular season. They couldn't do that either. This game is either going to be absolutely disgusting or, well, hold on. This game is either going to be absolutely skyline chili or a beautiful bite of Kansas City barbecue for the Chiefs.
Last year was skyline chili for 2 weeks.
The Bengals have been shoving in skyline chili in our open mouths for 3 games in a row now.
Right, but it's been barbecue for 3 quarters.
That's a good point.
And then the taste that's left in your mouth.
Can't wait for the dessert. It's
skyline. It's rat meat. It's sewer water with meat cooked in there.
Did you get the noodles also? Did you get just some bland extra noodles for some reason?
Why do I want rat water with meat on spaghetti?
When you say it like that, I mean, I get it.
Makes no sense. So we talked a lot this week about like the previous games and opportunities that were there or opportunities that weren't there because of things that may have taken place earlier. And we talked about the plays that aren't made. I decided to watch the championship game from last night.
I can't believe you keep doing this to yourself.
I sat down with my son. He had never seen the condensed games.
Okay, so it was also
Why'd you do that
child
to
abuse?
him?
We watched the first half. He went to bed after that. And by the way, he didn't really remember because he was like, oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, all right. And then they'll score. He's like, oh, yeah, is that Tyreek Hill? I'm like, yeah, the first touchdown. So he went to bed at halftime.
I wish I would have gone to bed at halftime the first time.
Me too. I was feeling good except for that. Man, they left 3 points on the board. It's not going to matter. They're fine. But there was a 4-play stretch in that second half with the game tied 21-21 in the conference championship game. These were the 4 plays in a row. L'Jarius Sneed for the Bengals, for the Chiefs defense on the field, not 4 plays total, because the Chiefs offense went out there, went 3 and out, and got sacked on third down. L'Jarius Sneed interception, which, by the way, Chris Jones whipped the right guard and got right in Joe Burrow's face and was about to sack him, but Joe Burrow threw the ball early, and L'Jarius Sneed cut in front of Jamar Chase because Burrow threw the ball early, and it was an interception. But Chris Jones does not have a postseason sack. But L'Jarius Sneed has an interception against Joe Burrow because of Chris Jones, even though he does not have a postseason sack. But that was play 1. Chiefs go 3 and out. Orlando Brown gives up the sack by Trey Hendrickson. He just gets whipped on third down. Bengals get the ball back. Next play, 2-yard run. Next play, Bolton dropped interception on the sideline. Next play, Chris Jones wrapped up on third down Joe Burrow, who swings away, escapes, runs to the near side, and picks up the first down. It's 4 plays. 4 plays. They made a couple,
Yep.
right? Because L'Jarius Sneed made they made the play.
Yep.
Chiefs offense then let him down. 2-yard gain on a run, and then the next 2 times they didn't make the play. And then later on that drive, it was 3rd down and 8, and Melvin Ingram had Joe Burrow dead to rights. And Joe Burrow slides through and then picks up 11 yards and runs for a first down. They ultimately kick a field goal. That was the difference in the game because the Chiefs got the ball back and took the entire rest of the fourth quarter to go down the field and then kick their field goal. The final drive the Bengals had was the 2 missed sacks on 3rd down for the Chiefs. And on that drive, Nick Bolton had an interception in his hands and just dropped it. Now, he's a linebacker. He's not a wide receiver. Wide receiver, running back probably makes that catch. Maybe a cornerback or a safety may make that catch. It's not easy because he's running to the sideline. He's not expecting Joe Burrow to throw it at him, at his legs. But as he's sliding down, if he secures it, he's got a knee down, he's got his butt down, and the ball just slides through and then hits the ground and he picks it up and then it's an incomplete pass. And the next play. Like, those are the things that happen, which cannot happen in this game. I would love to know, and I wish I had looked this up on Tuesday night before talking with Cynthia on Wednesday, but I looked it up last night, and in 2021, in that first matchup that they played, Burrow v. Mahomes, in the third quarter, the Chiefs had an 83.9% win probability in the third quarter of that game. In the conference championship game, in the third quarter, the Chiefs had an 89.9% win probability. On December 4th, in the third quarter, the Chiefs had a 77.9% win probability. I would love to know the statistical likelihood of 3 individual games that have at least a 78% win probability in the second half and losing all 3 of those games. Individually, yes, it can happen. That's why it's only a 78 or an 83, because there's still a 20 or 17% chance that team wins, and they did. But for all 3 times to lose all 3 of those games, what's the statistical probability of that happening? And that's where I sort of come back to, like, you see Bengals have, saw one, Twitter's not real, but one person was like, oh, this, blah, blah, blah. The Bengals have beat your ass 3 times. I'm like we forget about like what happened in these particular games, and no, they didn't beat the Chiefs' ass. Again, 83.9, 89.9, and 77.9. Those are the percentage chances of the Chiefs winning at some point in the second half. They've lost all 3 games.
Which is in a way almost worse.
Yeah.
It's almost worse, and it's also better. It's really a matter of perspective. We could say, hey, you're right. The Bengals have not come out here and just sunned the Chiefs 3 times. That's not what's happened, which probably should be encouraging for what it means on Sunday. This isn't an overmatched team. But, man, you've had them on the ropes thrice. And all 3 times you've ended up leaving with your head hung. I mean, that is a difficult thing to accomplish in the NFL. And again, this is probably just a reflection of how you're made up as a person and as a team, which makes me pretty confident that the Chiefs will take this the right way.
Sells and Adams.
But you could either... Adams is a Raider now.
Oh.
You can either... I couldn't think of a guy named Adam on the Chiefs or Bengals. I don't think there's an Adam on either roster. But you could either take that as, wow, we've had the upper hand 3 times in a row, and they've come back and just taken it from us. They've got our number. Or it can be, we've had them 3 times in a row, and we let them slither away. Not again. It's not as simple as, oh, we're beat, or not bleeping happening again, not in our house. It's not that simple. But that attitude, you have to have one of those attitudes when you have results like that. I think the Chiefs have the right attitude in the building. I don't know that it's going to mean they win on Sunday, but man, it's a bizarre place for this team to be because they literally have no other examples of that anywhere else in the NFL with this modern iteration of the Chiefs.
Text says, Jason, since memories are super bad. This is from yesterday, actually. Says, it seems like the most recent Bengals game, Hurst was having some early success before he got hurt. Was that the case? Certainly seemed to be making more of an impact as of late. Mm-hmm. He worries me. He was.
Yeah. And he left early. Calf, I think.
And he missed a few games after that.
Yep.
Yesterday, he popped up on the injury report with a calf injury.
There you go. Okay.
And he was full participant on Wednesday, limited yesterday. Ian Rappaport said something to keep an eye on. There are also some people in Cincinnati that said it's worrisome because it may be a bigger deal than just limited, that he might have been limited because he re-injured it in practice. That's why he was limited.
You start taking live reps, you leave after one rep, you're technically limited on the day.
Yep, you did practice, but you weren't a full participant. You were limited. Today's a pretty crucial day to see if Hayden Hurst goes out there and practices.
Very.
Because he missed 3 weeks because of that calf injury. Now, maybe it's a different leg, but as somebody who is old and not athletic and had a calf injury just by trying to run with my daughter up the stairs and couldn't put any weight on it for like 4 or 5 days, the worst. So I don't know. Maybe he felt it a little bit and they just said, all right, go sit out. We got to put you on the injury report, but this is just precaution because you missed 3 weeks with that thing. So you're playing on Sunday. We'll do rehab or whatever. But it is something to keep an eye on today because if they have 3 offensive linemen missing and Hayden Hurst, because he has been, Texter's right. Hayden Hurst has been a big part of what they've been doing lately. And oddly enough, Trent Irwin. I mean, we talk about Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, but Hurst and Irwin and the running backs have been crucial because while Chase and Higgins can just eat you alive, Boyd can, sort of just scalpel and death by 1,000 cuts. But Irwin and Hurst and the running backs break your back on a 3rd and 6, and they get it to that guy because you had Higgins and Chase taken care of.
And where on the field, loosely, would you say those running backs and tight ends typically attack?
Typically between the numbers.
Interesting.
Yes, provocative. All right, we'll take a timeout. I want to hear some sound from the Chiefs locker room yesterday. Carlos Dunlap, I was going to cut a couple of clips from that, but then I listened to the whole thing, and I thought, nah, the whole thing's good. It's like 4.5 minutes, but I want to play the whole thing. It's really good. We also have some clips from other guys and the Athletic Football Show that Josh started listening to yesterday.
For the first time.
Yeah, the first time.
I tell you what, that Chris Jones clip is going to make you feel some feelings, Jason.
I like feeling feelings. I love it.
I might not on Sunday.
I'm gonna slide into Cynthia's DMs and see if she knows what the probability would be of losing all 3 games in which you had a percentage chance of that.
Would you also do me a favor and ask her for the probability of me losing my mind this weekend?
That is 105%.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I didn't realize this until looking and spending a lot of time just staring into the abyss and trying to, figure out what it all means.
Hey, that's what I did last night, too.
Yes.
Nothing to do with sports.
That's right.
Just staring into the abyss, trying to figure out what it all means.
Yes, that's right. You had a gummy. I was looking at Pro Football Reference. We had a different experience.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I want to hear from the sound from the locker room for the Chiefs.
Before we do that, can I get those percentages again? Because I just found a probability calculator.
Yeah, please.
And I might be able to try to help you get there.
Yep. 77.9.
77.9.
83.9.
83.9.
89.9.
And these are winning percentage chances in the second half.
Yep. In the third, all of those were in the third quarter.
So the probability of all three occurring, none of them occurring, because this is the Chiefs winning percentage, right? So I'm on omnicalculator.com.
Yeah,
I
of course.
cite my sources because this is not my work, and if they're wrong, I'd have no way of knowing. Somebody texted in with one very close to this, I think. The percentage chance of none of those three things occurring, 0.359.
Yeah, somebody texted and said
Percent chance.
0.39.
That's not moving the decimal. That is a 0.36 percent chance.
Less than half of 1%.
The probability of all three occurring, in this case, meaning the Chiefs winning all three games from those percentage chances, 58.7%. The probability of at least one occurring, 99.6. So, take that, Cynthia. I'm a math boy now.
Yeah, math boy. What's up, mathlete? Let's talk some athletes here.
We're here doing push-ups on multiplication tables.
That's right. You got your you got your football. I got my abacus.
A mathlete.
You put your hand in the dirt. I put my hand in the calculator, on the calculator, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Do you think a mathlete would have like washboard abacus? I'm gonna go home. You don't need me the next 3.5 hours.
I don't.
Not after that.
Nope.
I can't even look at you.
So do you want some more numbers? Let's do numbers on the radio. Numbers are fun.
I love radio numbers.
Nah, we don't have to do many numbers.
Okay.
But
there you go. The odds of all of that happening. Very low.
So in the divisional round, 8 quarterbacks played in the divisional round at Chad Henne, but let's just, 8 quarterbacks started and played the divisional round. Have you seen the quarterback ratings for all 8 quarterbacks?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Jalen Hurts led all quarterbacks with a 112.2 quarterback rating. Coming in second, Patrick Mahomes after his ankle injury with a 103.47. Not Patrick Mahomes had a 103.47 in the game. After the ankle injury, Mahomes had the second highest quarterback rating of all QBs last weekend. Burrow was at a 101.9. Purdy an 87.4, Trevor Lawrence 74.4, Josh Allen 68.1, Dak 63.6, Daniel Jones 53.8. Jalen Hurts 112.2, Patrick Mahomes after he hurt his ankle 103.47, Joe Burrow 101.9. Just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Your progression this week.
I know, it's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous. It's just really interesting because I felt the same pull, and I just keep hitting the snag somewhere. I don't feel good about any of this, Jason.
No.
I don't feel good about this.
There are inner demons that are fighting each other right now. There's the inner demon fighting it and saying, I remember after the game on December 5th when you were on the air and you said, you said, I ain't picking the Chiefs to beat the Bengals if they play again until they do.
Until they do it.
Oh, yeah? Then what'd you spend all week breaking this damn game down for? If all of the signs point to this should be a Chiefs win, then just do it. Have some balls, man. That's what the inner demons sound like in me right now.
You also had some too many Uncrustables for breakfast, I think.
That's exactly right. Carlos Dunlap, I hope he eats his Uncrustables this weekend and is ready to go, and his spinach. This is about 4.5 minutes because it's really good. I was going to cut a clip or two from this, but it's too good to just have 1 or 2 clips. So here's Carlos Dunlap in the locker room talking about this opportunity to play in a conference championship game.
Obviously, at this point in my career, I've been able to accomplish a lot, but I hadn't won a playoff game or had an opportunity to play in an AFC championship game or a Super Bowl. So this is what we're striving for.
When I talked to Juju yesterday, he was almost like kind of in the same boat. He was 6 years, and he finally got his first playoff win last week.
Really?
Yeah, did you know that?
For Juju?
Yeah. And he said, like, for the veterans like yourself and
What?
yeah, 6 years in, and his first playoff win was
I thought
last
they
week.
beat us for one when I was in Cincy. I don't know.
Yeah, he got
That's
to,
crazy for him.
Yeah, but he said
Yeah.
the opportunity to get it before their time was up.
Yes. That is a big thing. Obviously I'm at the peak of my career right now. A lot of my best football has came before me, but I still feel like I got a lot of left. And that's why we came here, to have the best opportunity to put it on the main stage and have the opportunity to compete for things that a lot of players who have accomplished what I've been able to accomplish didn't have an opportunity to do. I almost had 200 games and I hadn't won a playoff game. Fortunately, we got it before the 200 games, and now we're going to try to even that out and get all of them. And we're going to start with this one this weekend.
How much does it mean to you that this opportunity comes against Cincinnati?
It's like a storybook telling. I mean, it's bittersweet. It had to be these circumstances, but I'm riding with my team, and I love the situation that we've done. We built something phenomenal here, and we're not done yet. So, but we got to go out here and do it, and we get the chance to do it in Arrowhead, which is phenomenal. And to hear these guys hosted it all 5 times. Majority of guys in this locker room hadn't not experienced it, and here I come with 200 games and I hadn't experienced it. So it was a crazy, tell to a story. But I'm just being present, enjoying the moment, and preparing to win a football game.
Did you watch the game casually Sunday?
What? Yeah, absolutely. We wanted to know who we were playing and where we're playing. So absolutely, I watched the game. I didn't have, any personal bias to which one, but I'm grateful that it is them, and looking forward to the opportunity to play against them.
No personal bias despite playing for the Bengals?
No, I don't have any quarrels against the Bengals. They gave me my first opportunity. I was able to accomplish some phenomenal things. I got a few records there. Got the rookie record, got the career record there, got a lot of things. So I feel like, adding the Super Bowl to it, I should be one of the Bengals greats. But right now, I want to be the greatest Chiefs player on Sunday, and then be the greatest Chiefs player on that following Super Bowl, and just keep stacking on there. And we'll figure out the rest and figure out who's going to write that story after the fact. But right now, I just want to focus on getting that storyline that the Chiefs won in Arrowhead this Sunday.
Last year they had trouble getting to Burrow. That was one of the reasons why the Chiefs lost. They bring you in to help solve that problem. So can you tell me a little bit about the difficulties of getting to him and actually, bringing him down and putting pressure on Burrow based on the last matchup?
He's super slippery in the pocket. He's a very savvy, crafty player. He gets the ball off quick, so they do a good job of mixing it up early, getting it off quick, and then when they're throwing it deep or late, or the plays and the highlights that you guys show, there's typically chippers or some type of protection that gives him more time, and that's what they have been having success at, and we take that responsibility on as a D-line to not give him that time.
Thanks, Carlos.
If you allowed yourself to think about what it would be like if you got this win and finally get that goal of going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, of course I've thought about it. That's part of why I signed up here for the opportunity. But right now I want to focus on being present in the moment before thinking about what's happening after the moment. So that's why I didn't get into the what ifs and all that. Right now I want to win Sunday, and then after we do that, I want to win that next one, and then boom, we'll look back on what we did.
All the trash talk, them saying this is Burrowhead instead of Arrowhead, does that matter?
Listen, people can say what they want. If we don't stop it, then what is it? So
good luck, man.
Appreciate it. We don't need luck, though.
That's right.
I love that ending. I had to leave the ending in there. Good luck, man. We don't need luck. That's right. That was good. It was good from Carlos Dunlap. I was going to cut up a couple clips, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to leave the whole thing there because talking about it being kind of bittersweet for him, that this storybook to go to the Super Bowl, he spent so much of his career there, and it would be going through that team to go to the Super Bowl when he's now a Kansas City Chief. And I like that he, said, and, maybe every single player is telling you the God's honest truth when they say, no, I haven't thought about anything but this week. But I do like that he was like, yeah, of course I've thought about it. You dream your whole life of playing in a Super Bowl. Of course. That's why I came here, was to have this opportunity. Yeah, I'm going to be in the moment and trying to win this game and see what happens after that. But yes, of course I've thought about it, because how can you not? This week, how can you not sort of envision, if you're envisioning a win, then you're envisioning what it would be for you to win, and that be go to the Super Bowl. When you play that whole, see it, and that, that mental strength to try to picture it, that image in your mind, so you can manifest that to become reality. But yeah, I think everybody, would only be human nature. You would have to be the strongest between the ears to not let your mind think at all about what Sunday night could be on a stage if you win.
You think about the goals you're trying to accomplish in addition to the way you're going to accomplish them. This is year 14 for Carlos Dunlap. I bet he knows that he has to play his best football on Sunday. It's also, in my mind at least, perfectly okay to remember what it is that you're playing for. You're playing for a ticket to the Super Bowl. And for Carlos Dunlap, a level of playoff success that he hasn't even gotten this close to over the course of the decade plus, the dozen years plus he's already had in the NFL.
You said this was year 14 for him?
11 years in Cincy, 2 in Seattle, here in Kansas City, year 14.
Just thought about this as you said that. I had to go look it up real quick. This is year 14 for Carlos Dunlap playing in his first.
It's 13 because he split that year in Cincy in
even better.
in Seattle.
Even better. This is year 13 for Carlos Dunlap, and he's playing in his first conference championship game. This is career game number 12 for Trent McDuffie. Playing in his first conference championship game.
George Karlaftis, also rookie season, same position, but he's been actually playing. He's been actually playing.
Game number 12 for Trent McDuffie.
Amazing.
Year 13 for Carlos Dunlap. They both will experience Sunday for the first time in their lives. More Zone next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Cynthia, are you okay with Beards playing the returner with the amazing English? I was curious about that as Cynthia Freeland is our guest NFL Network's analytics expert. Okay, good.
I love it. I own it. I own what I say. We're good.
Good, because we make fun of ourselves all the time, and we play things back all the time of when we mess up, as I just said, when we mess up talking.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I looked at CBS Sports and ESPN for their experts that have made their picks already. Some have not made their selections, but there are 12 from CBS and ESPN combined that have made their picks for the conference championship game. 9 of the 12 have the Bengals winning.
Nobody believes in us.
Everybody hates us. Six of the 15 last week had the Bengals winning. So out of 15 people, 6 of them picked the Bengals to go and win. Everybody else had the Bills. This week, only 3 of them have the Chiefs winning. We'll see. It's a lot of recency bias going on, I feel like.
Tyler Huntley almost had him. We're so close just avoiding this entirely.
Not only the fact that he fumbled the ball, but he also threw the ball at Ricard's feet when he was wide open for a touchdown the play before that. You suck. No.
Ready?
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Bonjour, Laurent. That's not the best my French accent can do.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Beards, Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest hanging out with us for the hour. Kendall Gamm will be our guest at noon. Mick Schaefer. We'll hear from the Chiefs coming up later on in the show.
Try to help a guy out.
I hope that was on the Twitch.
It probably was somewhere.
I hope the Twitch
video.
viewers got to see that.
I was trying to crown Matt Derrick.
Yeah.
With
You
some
want to crown him, then
headphones.
crown his ass.
I almost
crowned
did.
something.
Yeah, I almost ground pounded him is what I did instead of the crowning of the ceremony. I guess I could knight you maybe with like a pin here.
Well, who will be crowned at night on Sunday, Matt?
Ooh,
that's what we're talking
Well,
about.
don't answer that yet. We got to keep people listening for the next
for
hour.
the next hour.
That is a world-class segue.
So, what do you make of the matchup?
It's going to be a good matchup, I think.
When the Bengals won and we knew it was going to be at home, what were your thoughts then, and have they changed or moved or adjusted throughout this week?
First thought was, I don't have to go to Atlanta.
It's a lot of people's first thought.
Yeah.
Hold
that was
on,
the first thought.
I don't have to go to Atlanta? Oh, thank God.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I was working pretty hard not to go to Atlanta.
Okay.
But, well, then, of course, the next thought was, gee, I wonder how Patrick Mahomes is feeling right about now.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun. I mean, I think this is the two best teams in the AFC right now. I mean, Buffalo, I think, just didn't have anything left in the tank. I think these are the two best teams standing. They're the two most entertaining teams standing. This should be a really fun game because we know that these two teams are evenly matched.
Do the previous 3 games matter to you?
Yes and no. I mean, they matter in the sense that it's given Cincinnati a ton of confidence. I mean, they think they can win this game, and there's not a lot of teams that come into Arrowhead with that kind of confidence. They've got it. Is it completely justified? Maybe not. I mean, the Chiefs can certainly make a case that, and I can make a compelling case, that this has just been 3 incredibly tight games that went the Bengals' way. Maybe it was on their part. Maybe it was the Chiefs not getting it done. I mean, you can make a lot of arguments. But, yeah, I mean, I think they do matter because, like I said, I think it gives I think the Bengals have a ton of confidence. I think the Chiefs, to a certain degree, have some inferiority complex here. I mean, they feel like that they're the team that has something to prove, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good motivator, especially in this game. So, I mean, I think it matters from that standpoint. As far as takeaways, I mean, we know, I think, from those games what each team has to do. I mean, I think we know from that what the Chiefs have to do. Chiefs have to get certain things done. They got to be better in certain areas. They got to win the fourth quarter. They have got to probably run the football a little bit more effectively. They have got to get to Joe Burrow. I mean, that's, I think, 3 pretty simple things that we can take away from that game, and we know that because of what happened.
Running the ball more effectively or running the ball more? Because in the 3 games that we've talked about, whether they matter or not, in those 3 games, the Chiefs have averaged over 5 yards per carry when handing it off to a running back. So running it more effectively or just simply being more committed,
probably
or
more
willing,
committed,
or willing to run it when your tendency and the pull that you have, like a gravitational urge to throw the ball, is there to just simply, no, this is what they're showing. We're winning. Winning at the line of scrimmage. Sorry, not winning the game, but winning at the line of scrimmage in terms of the run game. Let's stay with that, and we can counter off that different ways, but we don't need to have 4 or 5 passes in a row and then a run and then 4 or 5 passes in a row.
I do. I always butcher Lou's last name, so I always just call him Lou.
Anarumo.
Big Lou.
Yeah, very good. But you know the Bengals always have different tricks. They're going to throw some unscattered looks at the Chiefs. They're going to do some things differently. But then again, when things get tough, Lou runs home to mama. Lou goes back to, okay, we're going to go after Mahomes with 3 or 4. We're going to drop 7 or 8 in coverage, and that's what we're going to do. And that's when the Chiefs had to be willing to make their adjustment and say, okay, you're going to give us a light box. Here's Isaiah Pacheco.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chiefs are going to have to do that, because I think that's exactly what hurt them last year in the AFC Championship game.
Yes,
was that they forced the ball too much. And I'm never going to say that this is a silver lining or anything because you don't want your quarterback to have a bum ankle. But if this means that Patrick Mahomes has even more motivation to just take what's there, to throw underneath, to throw over the middle, and not try and push the ball, that can't be a bad thing.
One of the plays that I think was, so many big plays, but maybe the biggest turning point of that championship game last year, to me, was a 2nd and 3 when the Bengals had just kicked a field goal the drive before. The Chiefs got their only sack of the game, Melvin Ingram. When the Bengals were driving down the field, they got to, I think, 1st and goal, and then they had a holding, may have been that, and then Melvin Ingram got the sack, and they kicked a field goal. So it was 21-13. Bengals were down by 8. First down, Jerick McKinnon picks up 7 yards. 2nd down and 3. I am convinced it was an RPO.
Probably was, yes.
Because it should have been a legal man downfield when Mahomes threw the ball. Shouldn't have mattered because B.J. Hill intercepted it. But that was a run look, and Creed Humphrey and I think it might have been Orlando Brown were already at the linebackers by the time Mahomes threw the ball. They had gone to the second level. And Kelsey and Hill were on the other side, and they just took a couple of steps and stopped. I think 10 guys read that as run. Mahomes pulled it, panicked, and then threw it for some reason, which was going to be to the chest of Trey Hendrickson if B.J. Hill didn't intercept it himself. That was a monumental play that if it's just a handoff and the entire offensive line is reading that as run and the middle's wide open and Creed is already at the second level and McKinnon was so good at weaving in that game, I don't know what happens in that. But to your point, where maybe there's more of a stick to the script and stay with what is working, that if there is a situation like that this go-around where it is a handoff, run the ball look, and 10 people read it that way, I am more confident, not 100% confident because Mahomes still has his tendencies, I am more confident that it'll just be Pacheco or McKinnon on 2nd down and 3. Let's just keep the chains moving because at that time you were up by 8. Interception. They go score the touchdown on 3rd down with the jump ball to Jamar Chase over Fenton, who had decent coverage. It's just Jamar Chase is good. And then the 2-point conversion in which Dan Sorensen was hanging out in the first row of the stands watching the game for some reason instead of guarding the one guy he was supposed to guard at the 2-yard line where somehow he was 10 yards away from him. Doesn't matter. So 21-21. That, to me, is kind of the point of what you're bringing up of not only just executing the run, but to me, can you stay with the run? Because they were really good running the football against the Bengals last year in the championship game. They just stopped doing it consistently. And that, to me, like the next day, Matt, when we were talking about, I'm like, I get it. Like, you've got RPOs. Patrick Mahomes has to hand off. How about this? Run the ball. Don't have it on RPO.
Yeah.
Just run the ball. You take it out of his hands. If you weren't trusting that he was going to make the right read, just call a handoff. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He played the worst half of his entire career in the second half against that Bengals team. And now he's got a chance for redemption this weekend.
And again, once again, I mean, and most of that second half, I mean, the Bengals went back to what they do against Patrick Mahomes. They're like, okay, he's going to throw the football and he's not going to run it. Let's drop 7 or 8.
Which is what they did.
That works.
And they did it on 2nd down. That's when they, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I talked about it the week leading into that December 4th game.
Yep.
That what was crazy in looking at it, that 90% of the drop 8, bring 3 was on 2nd down, where the Bengals are saying, you don't run the ball on 2nd down. We know you don't run the ball on 2nd down. We are going to drop 8.
That sounds like a little bit like one of those 92% of the time it works every time.
Yeah. But I mean, they don't on second and 3.
No.
They dropped 8 on 2nd and 3. And Mahomes was like, I'm throwing it. Bleep it. You know what? DeMarcus Robinson down there somewhere. DeMarcus Robinson down there somewhere. I mean, just, you are who you are. And that's where, to me, like Lou Anarumo, it plays to the weakness of the Chiefs' play calling and maybe even Patrick Mahomes' tendency to RPO. I'm going to keep it. And if that happens this weekend, does that weakness become mitigated because Patrick Mahomes has that memory, talked about it all offseason, put the loss on himself, said how bad he played, said that there should have been more running plays. And it's not like he was saying they should have called more running plays. I think he was talking about himself and handing off. I think there's going to be an incredibly disciplined game played and called by the Chiefs on Sunday. Game plan, play call wise. I'm sorry.
And, and honestly, I mean, even though to me it feels like, and probably feels like it's just because of how effective the Damian Williams was in the fourth quarter against the 49ers, it feels like the Chiefs run the football more in the postseason than they actually do. But until this year, I mean, they've been throwing the football a lot. Last week was an anomaly as far as, pounding out 140 yards on the ground in a playoff game for Andy Reid.
Yeah.
But hopefully, I would think that last week's game should give them some confidence that they can run the ball, because I think if you even take out that 39-yard run that Pacheco had, I think he still averaged close to 5 yards a carry last week. And, McKinnon didn't do much, but that's to a degree maybe an anomaly too. I mean, McKinnon's going to get his work, and he's going to do some good things. And obviously, he saved that game a few times with some blocks. But to me, and especially with your quarterback ailing, run the football a bit. I mean, I think you can run on this team.
They had 27 yards rushing before Mahomes got injured, and they ended up with 144. So you do the math of how many they had after Mahomes.
Maybe that would have been close to 100 yards that they were averaging for the game.
So 117.
Probably want to adjust that down from the yardage that Isaiah Pacheco created out of thin air like a magician, because that was blocked for a loss of 1 or 2. I mean, you can count it in your total stats, but in terms of but
they also handed off though. They gave him the ball to do that.
Correct, but if you're going to do like pre-injury, post-injury, you could even just look. I don't know what the numbers of carries were.
Well, let me
count. That might be worth looking at, because Pacheco put the team on his shoulders on that run.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a phenomenal run, and the left side had it sealed off too. So whether that was just happenstance, and then because he was sucked up into the middle, then everybody then went to that spot, which created the outside. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 carries before the injury. So what did they end up with?
30, but that's with a Henny Neal, and you can count the no grades.
Pacheco had 12, McKinnon had 11, Tony had 1, Moore had 1.
Mahomes had 3. I don't know if you're counting.
I'm not going to count that. I'm talking about just handing off. So 23, 24, 25. So 25 handoffs, whether it be to wide receivers or running backs, where you're specifically calling a run play.
That's
25.
a lot for Andy Reid in the game.
Mm-hmm. And you had 4 of those. So 21.
So 21 after the injury.
I mean, that is a little more committed to it. And there were a number of run plays on that Chad Henne drive.
There were.
98 yards. So Chad Henne led the drive because he had to make some plays. He had to make some throws. He had the rollout. He had the passes that were completed. That was also the big run by Pacheco was on that 98-yard drive. So that certainly helps. But again, you got to call the running play to be able to run the football.
5 runs on the Henne drive, by the way. 5 handoffs to Pacheco plus the Sky Moore one.
And I think back to the 3rd and 4 in Cincinnati this previous game, so this year, the Chiefs were tied at 17, and it was 3rd and 4 from the 6-yard line, or they were at the 6-yard. It wasn't 3rd and goal because they could have picked up a first down. It's 3rd and 4, and they handed off to Pacheco. And the Bengals defense spread like cockroaches when the light comes on, when they snap the ball, because there was no chance on 3rd and 4 inside the 10-yard line that Andy Reid was going to hand off. And that was such a disciplined play call. It was such a disciplined, this is the game plan, this is what they show, this is what we're doing. We said it before, let's be disciplined, and they did it. And Pacheco scored a touchdown. They blocked it well. You've got one man to make miss, one-on-one, Pacheco versus the safety in the hole, and he made him miss, and he scored a touchdown. So we got it blocked. You beat that guy. You score. And they did. On 3rd and 3, their last possession, when it was tied at 24, or when they were down by 3, 27-24, 3rd and 3, they decided to pass it. Whereas the Bengals dropped everybody because they dared you to pass. I think that was an undisciplined. This is the game plan, but you know what? This is what we do, and we're going to pass the ball here, and we're going to, do what we typically do. We're going to run to the sticks. We're going to have short passes, and they're going to drop guys, and then Mahomes is going to have to run around and scramble, and also Orlando Brown got beat. That, to me, is where are they going to be closer on Sunday to that 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 4 from the 6-yard line, or the 3rd and 3, it's Mahomes and it's the Chiefs, and we're going to pass the damn ball.
Yeah, and I'm looking up right now just because to me it's the fourth quarter. It's the fourth quarter that's going to determine this game. And I'm looking at the Chiefs' drives. And these 3 games in the fourth quarter against the Bengals, in the last 3 games, field goal, missed field goal, punt, interception, fumble.
They've been outscored 26-6 in the fourth quarter and overtime.
And one that's not, for 3 games and the overtime period, because one of these was an overtime drive, I guess. So, yeah, you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possessions in 3 games. So you're only going to talk about 2 fourth-quarter possessions, no touchdowns, missed field goal, 2 turnovers. That's not the Chiefs.
And you're also not talking about the Bengals just driving up and down the field and torching the Chiefs. You're talking about sort of the rabbit in the hare. That, slow, steady, methodical, don't hurt themselves.
It's talking about the rabbit and the hare and the bunny and the jackrabbit and you said rabbit in the hare.
Sorry.
Tortoise in the hair.
Sorry.
I thought there was a chance that there was going to be a real twist there.
No, I said it, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why would there both be hares there? Rabbit and the hare, and it's like the bunny and the rabbit.
It's the rabbit and the toupee is what you're thinking. Have you ever seen a toupee blowing in the wind?
Yeah.
It's not as fast as a rabbit,
It's like the
HAIR.
It's like the story about the tortoise and the turtle. Either way.
I love mixing metaphors, though. So
tortoise and the hare.
I love mixing metaphors as much as I love a sharp poke in the eye with a stick.
You are as sharp as a bowling ball.
Thank you, man.
You are the brightest color in the tack room.
Well, that one.
So this
That's a 2003 AFC West sweatshirt.
Sure is.
Very impressed about
I love it, man.
I found this pulled this right out of a thrift store.
You were like 7.
Yeah, I know.
Was he 7? I thought you were 3.
I was barely conscious. I was still in diapers. That's what I remember.
Okay. You remember you remember pooping in your diaper.
Well, yeah, but that continued, I think, through most of the Alex Smith era, if I remember correctly.
I pooped in my diaper when they called offensive pass interference on Tony Gonzalez in that game against the Colts. I then pooped in my diaper a good way when Dante Hall broke free for the kickoff return. Then I pooped again when Priest Holmes fumbled the ball.
When's the last time you guys had an accident?
I mean, yesterday probably. I was thinking about this game, and it just... bleh.
You saw the line move to Chiefs -1, and then it just...
So this tweet, I want to give credit where credit is due, comes from @HisDirkness on Twitter. I thought this was pretty fascinating. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not.
I have.
You've seen this?
We're big Dirk guys.
Oh, darn it.
I'm a
Nowitzki?
big Dirk guy. I like Dirk.
Darn it, you've seen it. You guys are smart, too. Shoot. But this was...
God, well, seeing that tweet's the barometer. That doesn't say a lot of good things.
I'm glad
about
he did the work because I didn't even think of doing the work. I didn't even think of it. And so him putting it out there, I think it's fascinating. The tweet goes, tackling this idea that Lou Anarumo and the Bengals have the Chiefs' offense's number. Chiefs offense in 3 losses to Cincinnati. Yards per play, 6.36. Chiefs this year, yards per play, 6.42. Points per drive against Cincinnati, those 3 games, 2.82. Points per drive for the Chiefs this year, 2.76. They are 0.06 away from the exact same yards per play that they have averaged this year to what they've done against the Bengals in those 3 games. And they are 0.06 points per drive better against the Bengals than what they have been this year. So why the Lou Anarumo has the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes' number? Is it because of second half adjustments?
Yeah.
Do we not count the first half when the Chiefs, went up and down the field? Not this previous one, because they didn't go up and down the field. On the first 2 drives, they scored 3 points in Cincinnati on December 4th. But the previous 2 games, they went up and down the field in those games. 4 possessions for the Chiefs in the championship game, 3 touchdowns, and a son of a gun.
Yeah, well, and that comes back to, and you guys were talking about it earlier, this misconception that the Bengals have dominated these 3 games. These are 3 3-point games.
Yeah.
The Bengals have averaged about 33 yards more than the Chiefs in these 3 games. 33 yards is not that much. I mean, that's not an insurmountable amount of yardage to overcome. Now, what it is that it's the difference between a 36-yard field goal for Harrison Butker and a 54-yard field goal for Harrison Butker to try and tie the game.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's that, but that's how far apart these teams are separated. We're not talking about a massive gulf. We're talking about 3 points a game, and we're also talking about 2 road games for the Chiefs. Losing at home in an AFC Championship, this game is bad. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's you should not allow that to happen. But we're talking about 50-50 games here. That's what these are.
They have been +1 in both of the 2 most recent games. Chiefs and Bengals neither turned the ball over the first time they met in Cincinnati in Week 17 when they lost 34-31. No turnovers. Conference championship game, the Chiefs were -1, and against the Bengals earlier this year, they were -1.
Yeah,
and those 2 turnovers were crucial. The differences being an interception in overtime and a fumble when you're up 24-20. Did you hear my win probability number for the Chiefs in the third quarter? It's crazy to think about that, but you're right. It has not been a dominant performance from these teams in these games, or from the Bengals in these games. It's been a very, very close game in which you credit the Bengals. This is not to make excuses for the Chiefs. This is to say where the Chiefs have made mistakes and where the Bengals have taken advantage, and you give them credit because they have outscored the Chiefs 26-6 in the fourth quarter and overtime. When it's winning time plays, the Bengals are the ones making them against this team. And that to me is where there's no comfort to Sunday's game for any fan. I would say on the Chiefs side, maybe to the Bengals there might be, but there's no comfort in Sunday's game. Because if the Chiefs are losing, well, then there's certainly no comfort. But if the Chiefs are winning by any amount in the second half, there's no comfort there. Because you've seen how quickly the page has turned all 3 of these games.
And I'm applying my C+ that I earned in Stat 101 at the University of Missouri here. But I think, in just rough numbers, I think the odds of losing all 3 of those games is like 1.2%.
Well, Matt, it's funny you should say that because I opened up OmniCalculator.com earlier today.
Yes.
And I went ahead and added in all those probabilities. Yes. And the probability of none of those Chiefs wins occurring, according to this one website that I have no ability to fact check myself because this is not my math, is 0.359%.
Oh, see, I'm further off than I thought.
It is sub 1%. It's less than
What were the Bengals odds in those 3? Because I figured it was like 20, 25, and 20.
So the Chiefs in 2021 in the third quarter had an 83.9% chance of winning.
Okay,
so
that's like, that's pretty bad.
16.1.
Yeah.
In the conference championship, the Chiefs in the third quarter had an 89.9.
Oh, yeah, that definitely affected my numbers. So 89.
10.1. Yeah. And this year, the Chiefs in the third quarter had a 77.9% chance. So 22.1.
Yeah, I came up with but using my very rudimentary stat skills, I would have come up with 0.4. So
that's basically.
So Matt, I actually learned something.
Matt actually learned it, and he was typing it on. Can I see your phone real quick, Matt? Could you flash your screen up here real quick?
Flash.
Is this just a calculator app that you're rocking?
Yeah, that's all I was.
This is straight from the dome right here.
That's crazy.
We got a genius in the studio.
Not just a hat rack, my friend.
A texter earlier said.
And Josh thinks that I don't get analytics.
A texter said 0.39 earlier, so it's right about there.
There you go.
I think when you've got 3 brainiacs like the texter and you two,
and I was rounding a little bit, so that's probably my 0.01 error. But 0.001 error.
But either way, it's incredibly rare for a team to lose all 3 in one game sample size. Yeah, crazy things happen in football, but to do that all 3 times, it's not easy to do. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Andy Reid earlier this week challenged the offensive line, whether that be behind the scenes, but he also did it in a podcast with Jim Gray and Tom Brady. We heard from Orlando Brown and Trey Smith yesterday in the locker room. What did they have to say about the challenge from Big Red? We do that next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
Ah, yes, it's Red Friday in the Kingdom.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Josh looked lonely.
Yeah,
That's been true for
He
a long
looked
time.
lonely, and I had nothing better to do.
Wanted
Boy.
to get out of the house.
That Beards, can you clip that for cut so I can have that just as a reminder of how my high school experience went?
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, hanging out with Matt Derrick. We'll talk with Kendall Gaiman coming up at noon. I want to play this clip. I put together the Andy Reid after the Tampa Bay game. Because remember, Andy Reid going into Tampa Bay earlier this year, coming off that Colts game, challenged his offensive line to go out and play well because they played like crap against the Colts. The challenge was set for the offensive line. So this first clip is Andy Reid after this is the Andy Reid, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Orlando Trey clip that's there. The first thing you'll hear is Andy Reid after Tampa Bay. The second thing you'll hear is Clyde Edwards-Helaire after Tampa Bay talking about Andy and what was said that week about the offensive line. Then Andy Reid talking to Jim Gray, and then we'll hear Orlando Brown and Trey Smith yesterday in their response to this week's challenge to the offensive line.
The guys cleaned it up today. It was important that the guys put their foot down and did what they did. My hat goes off to them for that effort.
It was a sense of urgency as far as not just for the front five, but from the offense as a standpoint. But we all know everything starts with the big guys up front, and that was something that Coach Reid started the week off with this week. Just kind of challenging those guys, and we all know how it all kind of unfolds once he challenges those guys. It's obvious that he's challenging all of us. So we did what we needed to do, and came out and they handled business.
We'll let his offensive linemen take care of that. They need to feel that and up their game a little bit here.
As Coach Reid hit on, man, it's on us. And, coming down the stretch in these big games has been on us. And, we kind of understand that, know the expectation, man. We got to rise our play even more simply based off the circumstances of this week, man, with it being the AFC Championship.
We take a great amount of pride and a sense of pride in protecting him. And, ultimately just seeing the way he battled out there, it makes you want to work even harder, it makes you want to fight for him. And, you just want to keep him clean. You want to keep him healthy. You know what type of player he is. So, for us, we take a tremendous amount of pride in keeping him clean. It's going to be a huge emphasis for us. It's a huge emphasis every week, but going forward, it's huge.
So they know that Andy Reid challenged him, that I'm going to let Andy Reid saying that I'm going to let the offensive line feel that is not just, hey, offensive line, play better. It's, hey, offensive line, your quarterback is going through all this rehab because you guys didn't protect him. You need to feel that this week and challenge yourself and be pissed off and go out and play. And the last time that happened, they went out and had a phenomenal game, did the offensive line, against a Bucs front that's pretty good and was also talking a little bit about how they were going to have a coming out party, Shaq Barrett said that week. So what do you think, what do you maybe expect from the performance, let's say pass protection specifically from this offensive line?
I'm going to go back to another example because
Please.
I think it is perfect for this situation. But remember 2019, week 1, Jacksonville, Patrick Mahomes sprains his ankle in that game. Didn't come out of the game or anything like that. But next week against Oakland, they have that fantastic second quarter, 4 touchdowns. Mahomes throws for like 430. He looks fine. They're fine. But the Chiefs ran for 31 yards in that game. And Andy was not happy. I mean, he was not happy. I mean, offensive line was hearing about it even after the game. Was like, this is you need to be better than that. And he lit a fire under that offensive line that week. I mean, that was a lot like the challenge that they got this year after that after the Colts game in Baltimore. Gosh, how old am I? He lit a fire under him. And what did they do next week against Baltimore? Against the Ravens defense, ran for 140 yards. So that tells you right there. I mean, what happens when Andy Reid does get under these guys. And it also tells you that if he's getting under the offensive line, he's not doing it to run the ball 15 times. He's getting after him because he knows he's not getting after him to protect Mahomes. He gets after them when he needs them to put up a running game performance. And that's why it makes me think that, hey, yeah, I mean, some of taking the load off of Mahomes is going to be running the football.
You talk to the linemen a lot more than we get to because I feel like that's in your spirit in the locker room. You seek out the trenches.
They're my spirit animal, yeah.
What do you think that conversation is like when Andy Reid is having those talks, and why does it work? Like, because just play better every week is not a message that makes a difference. So when he does like hit the gas pedal, what's going on there?
Yeah, I mean that's the key. I mean that's part of it is that you can't hit the gas pedal every single week. And and I've asked Andy, before, at the podium and everything, just about how you make that decision, about when to do it, because he only goes to the grind, maybe goes to whip at 1 or 2 times a year.
I think the last time he did the challenge to the offensive line was probably week 3.
I imagine it was because I haven't heard any others and everything.
Yeah,
but I was I was talking to Andrew Wiley yesterday. And he was like,
name dropper.
Well, hey, he's my guy. But Andrew said, the first time I asked him about how it was going, he goes, it's 1,000 play Thursday. I mean, yesterday was the grind day. I mean, that's when they go to him. But no, I mean, and hey, they play it pretty close to the vest. All the guys do about what Andy says and everything. But he has a way of lighting a fire, because the guys always say that when he does call you out, it's one of those things that you don't ever want to happen. I mean, and that's part of it. I mean, it's a tough love situation, but when he delivers that message, it resonates, because he doesn't do it very often.
The offensive line versus the defensive line and that front for the Cincinnati. I mean, it's a good front. Trey Hendrickson is good, but we've talked about that the Chiefs have averaged 5 yards per carry against the Bengals. The yards per play, the yards per drive, or the points per. Yards per play and the points per drive in those games against the Bengals. DJ Reader's talked about a lot. I don't know what the Chiefs in the offensive line, besides just being good, have with DJ Reader, but Pro Football Focus, one data point. So the last 3 years for DJ Reader, regular season and postseason, his lowest graded PFF grades. 46.2 against Pittsburgh earlier this year. His first game back after being injured for a few weeks. Whether that matters or not, but still, 46.2. Last year, 49.8. 2020, 50.5 against Philadelphia. Championship game last year, 51.5 against the Chiefs. Last year, 53.9 against Pittsburgh. December 4th this year, 54.2. 2 of the top 6 lowest graded Pro Football Focus games in the last 3 years have been against the Chiefs. Last 2 times they played them. Anything to that just the Chiefs sort of know where to start when it comes to maybe the blocking and what they have to do? The Chiefs are a pretty good offensive line, and that could have something to do with it as well.
Another one's against Jason Kelce, so
True.
clearly there seems to be consistency there, that when you've got a great center going up against him, that helps.
And those are really good running football teams, except for the Chiefs. And teams that are committed. Pittsburgh, San Francisco, and Philadelphia. And then the Chiefs. Steelers, 49ers, and Eagles, and then the Chiefs. Those are 3 running football teams, and then the Chiefs. I don't know what it is. Maybe DJ Reader is like, I know I've had a couple of bad games against this team the last 2 times we played. I'm going to come out and whip some ass. I'm challenging myself. But they have essentially, limited him in his impact on the game, at least from that data point, in Pro Football Focus's data point. But even watching the games, they're able to run the football.
Yeah.
And some of that's right up the middle. They're able to do that. So scheme-wise, whatever it might be, the Chiefs have at least been able to neutralize to a degree. One of the players that people always talk about with the Bengals defense on that defensive line is how good DJ Reader is.
And I mean, but that's how good the Chiefs interior is too. I mean, that's why it really, to me, doesn't matter what you've got on the interior on the other side against the Chiefs, because that's the strength of their offensive line, and they can push anybody around on the inside.
Let's talk about the other side, the defensive line for the Chiefs and the defense. Let's hear from Robert Mays from the Athletic Football Show. Robert Mays talking here, weighing in on Chris Jones and the Bengals.
You go back and you watch that Week 13 game. It was the Aaron Donald game plan for how they dealt with Chris Jones, and it has become the Chris Jones game plan.
But for everybody,
the reason I say that is I believe it was when they were playing the Niners one week, where somebody on the Niners staff or somebody, when being interviewed, said 4 hands on him every play. Every play he has to have 4 hands on him. And you watch that Week 13 game against the Chiefs, every play they were sliding the center his direction. Every single time they threw the ball, Ted Karras was aware of where 95 was, and he was working to get hands on him with whoever was the guard to that side. Okay? How do you occupy the center to not allow that to happen? Do you do some 5-0 looks with linebacker? Do you do some overload fronts where your other defensive tackle is bumped over that direction? Chris Jones is in a wide 3, and you're saying, we're going 3 on this side. Linebackers walk up into the other A gap, which we see the Niners do all the time. Do you try to do some of that stuff to say, we need to make sure we're creating one-on-ones for this guy against a backup guard, because if we give him those one-on-one opportunities, he can take over the game. And I truly think that he can, but you got to put him in those situations.
Nick Bolton lining up in the A-gap a couple of times. Chris Jones lining up against a left tackle that plays guard. One-on-one out there in passing situations and almost forcing that running back to chip and stay in a little bit, which has been the outlet and the security blanket for Joe Burrow. How do you think they do this with Chris Jones to avoid what he said was the Aaron Donald game plan on December 4th against Chris Jones for the Bengals?
I mean, I'm not sure that there's anything from a risk analysis standpoint that you can do to prevent it. I mean, what I think you've got to do is accept the fact that Chris Jones is going to get that kind of attention, and it's up to the other guys to win their one-on-one matchups.
Yes.
The only thing that worries me about trying to negate that and give Chris Jones some help is that you start doing that, and you're going to give Joe Burrow some really favorable matchups in the middle of the field. And, I mean, that's where I think
if you don't get to him.
If you don't get to him.
Yeah,
I mean,
because if you're setting up the favorable matchups for Chris Jones, you're setting that up so that he can whip somebody pretty quickly. I mentioned the L'Jarius Sneed interception in the conference championship game was because that Chris Jones just whipped the left guard and pushed him aside, got right into the face of Joe Burrow, was about to wrap him up. Burrow throws the ball a little bit early while leaning away. L'Jarius Sneed intercepts it. Chris Jones, no sack. Did not get a sack on that play, but Chris Jones got the interception to a degree.
Right.
Even L'Jarius Sneed. So that's where it's like, okay, if you set that up with an advantageous position for Chris Jones, can he do that? Which then creates a negative play for the Bengals. But if he doesn't, you're right. Now it means there's a matchup somewhere that Joe Burrow can exploit because he's got a little bit of time and guys are working against a fewer number of defenders.
I mean, and that's why, to me, I mean, like I said, I don't know if there's a really good way from a strategic standpoint to win in that matchup, because even if you give Chris Jones some help, you're not necessarily guaranteeing yourself a win. I mean, there's still a chance it's going to be a draw. And a draw in that situation is probably a win for Joe Burrow. To me, the Chiefs, I mean, they haven't had necessarily a problem getting to Joe Burrow. Maybe some of their problem has been being too aggressive at times. Because remember the third down blitz on 3rd and 21?
3rd and 27.
3rd and 27, thank you.
Get it right.
28 yards.
One-on-one chase.
That was just to get him out of field goal range.
Yeah, that was because Spags was worried because it was 30-30 at that time, or 31-31 at that time. Spags was worried, well, we don't want to give up yards for a field goal. You never got the ball back.
Nope. See, so to me, I mean, it's the same thing the problems the Chiefs have had on the offensive side too, which is that they've been bit by their own aggression. To me, there's a little bit of in this game. This game has got to be tight. This game has got to be, to me, playing to your strengths, and the strength of the Chiefs' defense is definitely blitzing. I mean, it is definitely Steve Spagnuolo's hallmark. I mean, that's what he does, is he brings blitzes at you in ways that you're not expecting. So to me, if Chris Jones is going to get attention every single time, to me, it's you create the opportunities for Chris Jones, and if this means that he just has to eat everything in this game, let him. Because one, Chris Jones knows occasionally he's going to win those matches. He's going to beat his double team anyway.
He can beat double teams.
So, but if that means that you've got one-on-ones everywhere else, and all of a sudden you can disguise a blitz, and so L'Jarius Sneed or Trent McDuffie or Justin Reed's able to come off and completely, undetected, that to me is a better win than just trying to free up Chris Jones to get some wins. Because they're going to give him attention anyway. If they double team Chris Jones and you start giving Chris Jones help, they're going to triple team Chris Jones.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to talk about an element of the Bengals offense that I don't think is being talked about nearly enough, which has been pretty crucial for them. We'll do that next and get Matt Derrick's prediction on Chiefs and Bengals coming up on Sunday. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
That's a clown take, bro.
On Sports Radio 810.
All right, wrapping things up here in the 11 o'clock hour. Kendall Gammon will be our guest coming up at noon. Mick Schaefer. Matt Derrick with us, Chiefs Digest. So I want to talk about and get your prediction, but real quick before we do that, Willie Gay and Nick Bolton were awful against the Bengals December 4th. They were, again, not good against the Jags this past weekend. I think an under-discussed part of what the Bengals do and what has hurt the Chiefs is Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon out of the backfield. First matchup in 2021, 9 targets to those guys, 8 receptions, 50 yards. Conference championship game, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown. This most recent, without Joe Mixon, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 49 yards. 3 games, the running backs, 23 targets, 20 receptions, 169 yards, and a touchdown. And I know a good portion of those were first downs. Little bailouts. That Burrow was pressured. You can't sack him. No, because as you're getting ready to do that, he's dumping it off to the running back that for some reason has 15 yards of space in front of him. So Gay and Bolt, I think that is such a big part of this game on Sunday is what the Chiefs do with that last-second outlet to the running back and how they defend that.
It absolutely is. I mean, because both those guys are very good in space and getting the football and knowing the place to be for Burrow to be able to find him when there is trouble. But that's also, I mean, we saw that in the last game. I mean, the Bengals want to try and create some mismatches, and they're always going to try and get somebody lined up on the Chiefs linebackers because that's where the perceived weakness is. So, I mean, that's why I put Jamar Chase in the backfield, because they want people to get, put Jamar Chase and get him out there against the linebacker in space. That's what they're hoping for. So, I mean, and it's worked. So the Bengals are going to keep doing it until the Chiefs figure out how to stop it.
All right, what do you think happens? Your prediction, score? Let's hear it.
I mean, I think to take the Chiefs, given everything that's been going on, given the 3-game losing streak, I mean, to a certain degree, it is a leap of faith to think that the Chiefs are going to win this game. You probably have to be going more with your gut than your brain at this point. But I'm going with my gut. I mean, and the biggest reason why is that I think this is one of those games for Patrick Mahomes. I think he is going to get it done. I think he is going to be the one that drags this team over the finish line. That is what his strength is. Take everything else. I think these two teams are evenly matched. I just don't think that it is the. I think that's what it is. I mean, these are two teams that are fun to watch play football. Winning 4 in a row is just not a good mathematical possibility for me. I'm going with the Chiefs. I think, and on top of that, I'm going really bold here, low scoring. I think the Chiefs 24-21.
24-21 Chiefs. I love the phrasing of our friend Therese of "Over My Dead Body" game.
Therese's voice with that has been in my mind all week long. This is an over my dead body game for Patrick Mahomes.
Let's see what happens. Matt, you're the man. Appreciate it as always, brother.
Same.
Time goes by so fast. Love the conversation.
Watch your ankles out there today, all right?
I'm glad somebody finally paid attention to my ankle. I mean, we've been paying enough attention to Patrick.
That's right.
Nobody's asked me about my ankle until just now.
How is it?
It's a little sore.
Tender, yeah.
We'll tape it up. Get you back out there.
I'd love for somebody to tape my ankle up.
Also, should pass along Hayden Hurst saying today he will play on Sunday. Even with the calf injury that slowed him in practice yesterday, said, I will be out there. We'll see. Thank you, Matt. Kendall Gammon next.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
The fact is, you're never going to make everybody happy. The only way to build true consensus is to tick everybody off.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco and Beards. Thank you to Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest, joining us in the previous hour. There's video of practice going around right now. Patrick Mahomes practicing outside, getting ready for this matchup.
How many legs does he have?
3. So those videos, you can go check them out, different places, perfectly fine if you want to do that. But the studying of Mahomes' ankle continues. We told you that Hayden Hurst had said that he will play this weekend. Ian Rappaport says that Zach Taylor has said that Jonah Williams and Alex Kappa will probably not play this weekend, which is not a surprise. They were not seen at practice again today. That is a DNP Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it would have been a stretch for them to play this weekend anyway. So I am now more convinced, as we've been talking about all week, I don't expect them to play. I think the Bengals will still have 3 backup linemen in there, and that is the case. They will have 3 backup linemen in there that Jonah Williams and Alex Kappa, quote, not expected to play, which means they're not playing.
Keep an eye out at practice today. I'm just curious to see if Chris Jones might have like a car engine strapped to his back or anything, because that's sort of the energy I'm looking for.
Yep, jetpack. All right, let's bring in Kendall Gammon, our guest here. He's presented by Freeman Health System, centered around you. Freeman Health System, your local hospital, joining your circle of trust, and Crown Automotive in Lawrence, your Lawrence new and certified pre-owned Toyota and Volkswagen dealership near Kansas City, Olathe, and Topeka. Experience the Crown difference at crownautomotive.com. Kendall, how are you, sir? Welcome into the show.
Thank you very much. I'm well. How about you guys?
We are doing fine. I'm doing as fine as I probably can on a Friday before the AFC Championship game against a team that seems like they have the Chiefs' numbers. So, yeah, that's how I'm doing, Kendall.
No, trust me, I understand. And hard to think that it's going to happen 4 times in a row, but crazier things have happened. But this is why the NFL is so popular. I mean, this is just a great game. This is a wonderful matchup.
It's funny, looking at ESPN right now, and they're doing a little breakdown, but on the scroll it says Chiefs 65% chance to win the game is what the analytics, those models that are out there that give you the simulations. The Chiefs 65% chance to win the game. They have moved from a 3-point favorite to a 2.5-point underdog to now they are a 1.5-point favorite this week. It has been crazy. Have you been looking, watching, caring even maybe about the small snippets of video from Patrick Mahomes at practice and watching his ankle and breaking it down and studying it as much as a lot of us have?
I've not studied it as much as you. I know that because you live and die with this, which is great. But I did watch him come in for his first press conference, and I thought he was walking fine. That has nothing to do with anything I know, but that's the only time I saw it. But it is amazing to me that he's been full participation all week. I would have thought with what we saw happen last week and how he was that it would be much worse. Now, time will tell, certainly. It's going to be a cat and mouse game, a chess game early on, just to everybody getting a feel for what he can and cannot do, and then having to alter the game plans from that, because it's hard to believe that he would be able to drive the deep outs and drive the far field throws and things like that, because it seemed like they were collapsing last week, rightly so. And if that's the case, and you've got a different type of middle passing game and short passing game going, then Cincinnati has to adjust to that. But I'm curious, and your thoughts as well, is, okay, if that's the case, and Big Red has to call a different kind of game, because they have the plays in there that they've went over to call this type of game if they want. They just generally don't. But if they did, because of some things, now all of a sudden, do you have plays being called and things going on that simply are not on film? And if so, that could potentially be a win-win situation for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and I do want to talk about maybe different game plans and things like that. But you said you saw the video on Wednesday of Mahomes walking off the stage. And so that means you didn't see yesterday's video.
I
And
did not.
I love the mind games.
Do tell.
I love this going on. So when Mahomes left on Wednesday, he walked down the stairs, and people were talking about
The stair.
The stair. Sorry, there was one stair, as you saw. He walked down the stair from the stage, and people were talking about, ooh, he was a little ginger stepping down there a little bit. Yesterday, Kendall, you know what he did? He skipped the stair and just stepped straight down from the stage. He just stepped straight down.
He always knows what to do.
I'm like, that guy is playing to all of the people staring at his ankle, and he heard somebody and people say, ooh, he's a little ginger stepping down on that stair. And he said, okay, I'll step down with my right foot being the foot that I stepped down on from the stage and keep on walking and keep it moving. That was not on accident.
And then he did the Willy Wonka thing where
That's
he like,
right.
did a somersault and popped up. That's how he's actually going to do pregame intros on Sunday. He's going to limp in and then somersault like Gene Wilder.
He's going to be Forrest Gump running with the braces on the legs and running right through them and breaking them and heading to the field. That's what it's going to be, Kendall.
If I'm in his position and I've got that going on, and obviously I never would have been, but if I was, to me, you take it a step further and you just come in limping like you can barely even walk and make it so ridiculously over the top that now people have no idea what to think about.
What's going on? I mean, it's
exactly.
It's full participant. Everybody said he was fine, and now he's on
Andy
crutches.
Reid's pushing him in a wheelbarrow?
Exactly.
Why not a wheelchair? Just a wheelbarrow? That's even
Wheelbarrow.
better. Why is he riding that rascal all around practice?
Charlie
A
Weiss out
wheelbarrow
here.
or a wheelbarrow? I mean, which one is it?
Wow, I hope they.
See what I did there?
I hope they wheel Burrow out on a bus, not hurt, just on the bus, wheel it on out, and go home. Losers in this one. Not wheel him out on a anything like that. I don't want him to be hurt. I want him to be healthy. I want him to be a healthy loser.
Yes.
Not a hurt loser or a healthy or hurt winner. None of those. Kendall Gammon is our guest, presented by Freeman Health System and Crown Automotive in Lawrence. Okay, so you mentioned something as we were starting the conversation about the fourth time they're playing and the previous three times, and you can't imagine a team, losing four times when these games have been so close and 3-point games, but crazier things have happened.
Yep.
Is there an emotional edge, a mental edge from one side or the other when one team has won 3 in a row and has made the plays? And how much does that maybe go into a week's worth of preparation if you feel like this team is our equal, but yet they've had our number at the same time?
You know what? No, from the Chiefs' standpoint, I don't think so. When you look at it, they had a chance to win. They didn't. You give the Bengals credit. I really don't think it changes things much either way, because generally I've been on both sides of it in my career. And either way, you're generally getting preached at of, the last game means nothing, whether you won or lost. And that's the truth, and we all know that. But it's hard to set that aside when we see what's happened. But we'll say this. I mean, the things that you do have to look at, which are true, is what the Bengals did last year after being down like they were in the first half and how they came back. You also have to look at how they handled the crowd noise, which is going to be even more bonkers. I can't imagine that there's not going to be a lot of Burrowhead signs and all kinds of things going on. I don't know that it affects the players that much, although maybe a little bit. And I do think it's interesting that Cincinnati even kind of doubled up on things with some of those things. That's interesting to me. But the fans themselves are going to go nutso with this, I believe, and that's why Chiefs Kingdom and Arrowhead is the loudest stadium in the world and the hardest place to play.
I agree with that. I think, last year it was loud, but last year felt like it was going to be a coronation of the Chiefs going to their third Super Bowl, and the winner of Bills and Chiefs was going to walk to the Super Bowl because they were going to show that the second half against the Bengals earlier that year was a fluke, and the first half jumping out to the 17-point lead, 18-point lead, whatever it was really the team that they were. And so the Chiefs get the lead up 21-3, and I kind of feel like everybody just sort of relaxed a little bit. I know I did at home.
I did too.
And it was kind of a, all right, cool, let's just pour it on, let's see what's going on. This, to me, on Sunday, is a year's worth of pent-up frustration and annoyance, maybe along with it, and anxiety that will come out on Sunday. And typically that anxiousness, that pent-up anxiety usually results in releasing that in terms of a crowd noise out there, that's when you typically get your loudest Arrowhead Stadium, is in situations like this. And I think it will be as loud as Arrowhead has been, whether they have the Guinness Book of World Records out there or not. I don't know that it gets to 142, but I think it's going to be much louder on Sunday than it was last year in the conference championship game.
Yeah, I think you're right, and certainly that makes a difference because from an offensive standpoint, from Cincinnati, and I've been through this before. I mean, you have to have your hand signals. You can be 2 yards from somebody yelling at them; they can't hear you. So it is an issue. Now that does give generally the edge rushers that edge coming off and getting off quicker, but with Burrow and how he gets the ball out, I think if anything happens to him and we're successful getting pressure on him or even getting him down, it's got to come from the inside, obviously, because you've got to get there quicker. I just don't think he will allow the edge to get to him. I mean, I think the ball will be gone before they have a chance. So, it makes me wonder, because this is where I think a big chess match comes with Spagnuolo is, can you figure things out? Can you run some twists? Can you do some things that get you to the QB quicker? But that being said, that you give some things up on the back end, and this is a young secondary, which certainly remembers what's been done to them. So this part of it, to me, the Chiefs' offense is going to score points, but it's about the defense and what they do against Burrow.
I agree with that. I think the Chiefs are going to get their points. I think the Chiefs will score enough points to win a game against the Bengals. Does the defense limit the Bengals enough to actually win said game? Right. And to me, the crowd noise is important this weekend. And we know it's always important and things like that, and it helps. But this weekend specifically, and I know Buffalo was loud last week, so take this with a grain of salt, knowing that we've seen at least one game. But when the crowd noise is as loud as Arrowhead can be, and you do have new offensive lineman in there, and I know right tackle, he's been playing for a few weeks. Right guard's been playing for a few weeks. Left tackle, last week was his first game, starting at left tackle. He's a left guard. First game starting at left tackle in his career. That if you can affect the silent count at all, like you're talking about, Kendall, if you can limit them getting out of their stance and trying to drop in pass protection just even a little bit, it can make all the difference in the world to putting just even a little bit of worry in Joe Burrow's mind. Even if for 5% of his mind is thinking about, my offensive line isn't going to protect me here, that's 5% more than what I feel like he typically has if he steps, if he drops back. So I think they're not known as the 12th man, that's Seattle, but I do think the 12th man is going to be pretty important on Sunday.
Yeah, it really will be. And I also think defensively, with that being said, I had a chance to talk to Bill Moss earlier this week, and we talked about him being on the field and help that out on the D-line side of things with Derek Thomas when he had that 7-sack game against Seattle. And he just talked about how doing some work in there as a defensive lineman and trying to get a hold of a couple people and freeing somebody else to come in, obviously DT, to where the advantage was so great that the lineman didn't have any chance. And I think when you have some guys in there, Cincinnati, that don't have that type of experience, and especially even at that position, being your first game starting at left tackle, there's some hay to be made somewhere, but you've got to be careful. They got to pick and choose quietly, or quickly rather, and it's going to be interesting because Spagnuolo, he's got a lot of pressure on him. He's got to make the right calls. If they work, he's a genius. If not, he gets downgraded. That is the NFL. But it's going to be fun to watch. And I keep going back to it. I know I'm repeating myself, but I just can't. It's hard to think that you will hear much louder stadium than what we hear on Sunday because of everything that's been done and because of the history.
You as an offensive lineman, Kendall Gammon is our guest, long snapper, offensive lineman. You know what it's like to be there in that game. Tim Grunhard talked earlier this week. Nick Leckie talked earlier this week on different shows about the snow in Buffalo on the turf and what that could mean for whether that be a defensive line or an offensive line. I think Tim Grunhard phrased it as the Christmas morning and wish come true for the offensive line for the Bengals when they woke up and it was snow on the ground, because that's advantage offensive line in being able to limit the get off from that defensive line. How much of a factor do you think that might have been in the game for the Bills against that makeshift offensive line, in which the Bills only got 1 sack, but they pressured Joe Burrow 16 times. Here we go with that same thing. You pressure him, but do you bring him down? Chiefs have pressured him a number of times, but they're not really sacking him. How much is that snow, that element, beneficial to an offensive line?
I think that's a fair statement because you're still going to be able to get pushed at times and get pressure. Like you said, they didn't get him down. But I think when you look at it, though, on the edge rushers, one thing that they try to do when they get around the edge is really got to lower that shoulder and get down, and that's when you're really torquing on one foot to make that turn as sharp as possible. And I think that's when you lose some footing. And even if you don't lose the footing, you start to slow down a little bit so you don't lose that footing, and you don't lose the lane protection that you need to have for certain things. So I think that makes sense. And nobody would know better than Grunhard. So, I mean, that dude, he's been through it all. And I would have to agree. It does make a difference. I'm not going to have that stuff this week. It's going to be interesting to see this field, natural grass, in as good a shape as you'll find a field, I think, at this time of year for this type of weather. So a lot of it comes into it. But, again, I still think with that being said, I think it still comes down to some schemes and finding, hopefully, a way to confuse Burrows at times, which is easier said than done.
Yep, absolutely. Kendall Gammon is our guest, presented by Freeman Health System and Crown Automotive in Lawrence. As we talk about the Chiefs and the Bengals coming up this weekend, Chris Jones, we've discussed him and what they may do against that guy. Chiefs offense, game plan. You'd mentioned that a little bit of do they change it up? Do they do things maybe a little bit different? Do you think this weekend maybe there is more of a reliance or more often they run the ball and take a little bit of pressure off Patrick Mahomes? Or is this one of those to where Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, Matt Nagy, Patrick Mahomes, the offense gets together and says, if he can go, he can go. We're running our offense. This is what we do. This is what we're going to do. And we'll do it on Sunday, limited ankle or not.
No, I think you have the best chance when he's in there playing, even if you have to change the game plan up a little bit, in my opinion. So if you have to change some things for him, then you do that, because I just think it adds so much. Maybe not the most important thing, but again, seeing the guy that's been in the huddle all year long, I think the focus from the other players will be greater, not because they haven't been trying to focus, but generally I think when somebody gets down, other people understand that they need to step their game up a little bit, and they're able to in some fashion. So, I don't know in terms of the run game. I would think you would definitely want to try to establish that even more so than possible. Is it bringing the fullback in a little bit more out of 21 personnel? Is it 13 and they get 3 tight ends going, and with the catching abilities of those? I forget the tight end situation right now and who's healthy and who's up. But I think you are going to see some things, I believe, from the Chiefs offensively that has just not been on tape that much, and so that can turn into a positive factor. And then it comes down to how quick can Cincinnati adjust to those things if they are, in fact, bearing fruit for the Chiefs offense.
Kendall Gammon is our guest. All right, Kendall, what do you think happens on Sunday, and a score, if you've got one in mind, for the AFC Championship game?
Yeah, I think I've been saying I go back and forth. I think I've been saying 27-21. I just feel like the Chiefs have a chance with this one. I don't know that it's going to be as high scoring as some people think, so that's where I'm at with it. But I think it's tough. Riding the fence, it could go either way, obviously. But I just think with what's going on and the history and what's happened, that the focus from the Chiefs is going to be there, and that the home field advantage is going to make a difference. And so I'm, again, seeing it 27-21, good guys.
All right, we'll see what happens. Kendall Gammon, appreciate it as always, sir. Enjoy the football, and looking forward to our conversation next week. And hopefully we are talking about a matchup between the Chiefs and whoever, does not matter, on the other side in a Super Bowl. Thank you, Kendall. Appreciate it, man.
You bet. Take care.
Absolutely. There's Kendall Gammon. He's presented by Freeman Health System. Centered around you, Freeman Health System, your local hospital, joining your circle of trust, and Crown Automotive in Lawrence, your Lawrence new and certified pre-owned Toyota and Volkswagen dealership near Kansas City, Olathe, and Topeka. Experience the Crown difference at crownautomotive.com. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We continue rolling more Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
All right, obviously we've been talking about it. 4 NFL teams, 2 conference championship games, 2 winners, 2 teams heading to Super Bowl 57. Only a few more shots to win big on the playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Counting down to Super Bowl 57. New customers can bet just $5, and you get $200 in free bets instantly. If you're not a new customer, you can feel the conference championship thrills with stepped-up same-game parlays. You can take your shot at an even bigger NFL payout. Boost your winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. Some of those that I like. Still liking the over 2.5 touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes in this one. That's plus 160. Liking the Isaiah Pacheco over 47.5 rushing yards. Like that one. Longer odds there with that one. But still, like those and a few others. We'll see what happens. But Chiefs also moving to a minus 1.5 favorites in this one. A lot of line movement since people have seen Patrick Mahomes' ankle. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code 810WHB. New customers can bet $5 on the conference championships, and you get $200 in free bets instantly. That's only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code 810WHB.
Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700. 21 plus, physically present in Kansas. Bonus issued as free bets. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. 10 plus leg required for 100% boost. Deposit, parlay, and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort.
Frank Bowl here for my friends at CBD American Shaman. You've heard me talk about my experience with CBD products. If you struggle with pain, anxiety, sleep, or lack of energy, visit your local CBD American Shaman about the benefits of high-quality hemp oil. And if Kansas City scores big, you score big discounts. Kansas City puts up 30, it's 30% off. 50% off your order of one.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
There's one thing I bring to the show every time. It's my nuggets.
Mixed nuggets, baby.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thank you to Kendall Gammon. We continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Brisco, Beards, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director, joining us here in the Zone. Mick, how are you?
I am so tired. I've never been more exhausted of storylines leading into a big game that I should be looking forward to than I am this week.
Really?
I hate this week.
Oh, I've loved it. Well, I hate how long it's going. I hate how it feels every day is like,
I'm tired of
the next day.
Mahomes' ankle storyline.
There's video of him with practice today. So.
Yeah, and listen, I'm a part of it.
Your shot was great, by the way, Mick. It was weird to me that you specifically shot Mahomes from, like, the knees up.
Well, and I wasn't thinking of that. I'm like, well, you can tell how he's running, right?
It's hard to see the ballistics,
I mean, do you think his ankle's just going to be wobbling back and forth?
I need to be able to see the metatarsals in his toe.
I mean, what's that going to tell you, Twitter doctors? You
Gumby.
Idiots.
It's Gumby just flopping around.
You're the worst people on the planet, Twitter doctors. I don't know. I saw a limp there. He's only going half speed. No crap. It's individuals.
I like that combined with the... Dude, I suffered a high ankle sprain. When I was
took
playing,
me 3 weeks to come back,
and
dude.
I didn't walk for like 4 days. So he ain't
something's
playing.
up here. Something's up here.
He ain't playing. Or the Bengals fans that are saying he faked the injury. Faked it.
Yeah.
It's not melodramatic.
Looked like it.
Everybody that commented on, I just want them to just not be allowed to have phones or Twitter, except for the few people that said that's clearly a Mahomes clone. I'm like, all right, you can stay. You can stay.
Everybody else, get the hell out.
Get the hell out.
There's the door.
I mean, there's this dumbest comment. Oh my God, the media's allowed to be at practice? Barely.
Yeah. For 10 minutes, but it's fine.
10 minutes, please. That'd be paradise. Try 4.
So I have to hear the story with the next most recent interaction with Michelle Steele. Can you please, first of all, catch people up on the first interaction with Michelle Steele as to why being on an elevator with her was such a big deal the other day for you? Please give us the first story.
Well, I mean, I didn't know this was content, but whatever. I might have to sit there at the game on Sunday.
I was wondering if this was an on-air story. I think
it was back in the day.
It was back in the day, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm just curious. Look, she could be driving around Kansas City right now on her way to get some barbecue going, oh, there's a story about me. And I wasn't going to ask.
I found the tweet back then.
Yeah.
From when it happened. So
do you not want it to be content?
No, that's fine. No, it was
first go around
2 years ago, 2+ years ago. Early on, during.
Sorry, Mick. Hold on, Jason. You were telling me during the break you guys have been having some issues in your marriage. Did you want to go ahead and talk about that in the show, or?
By the way, that is made up.
Well, we will never get married.
That is made up. Mick and I are not getting married. But no, I just assumed because the previous
one was. And I had forgotten all about it. And she's a national reporter. She's been at games since, and I'd kind of forgotten about it.
And she's been here all week with.
With absolutely. And I'm sure she's a fine, nice young lady. But she a couple years ago, it was during the COVID season, and the Chiefs would escort you down to the field to where we could go and do live shots, basically in an empty stadium in the stands before games. And so we had an escort, myself and my photographer, and then her and her photographer got in the elevator. And these elevators at Arrowhead are gigantic. They are like 2 to 3 times your normal size of elevator.
You can fit one of those rolling dumpsters in there, right?
Width-wise, depth-wise, you can absolutely get a rolling dumpster in there.
It's like a freight
Maybe
elevator.
2 dumpsters.
Yeah.
If you work the Tetris, the angles right. And so we get on, and just by me being, I was there. I was the last one on, but we were all standing waiting there. Again, we have Chiefs escort, and she was like, we were all in masks, right? That time, she was like, "Sorry, only 4 to an elevator. I'm sorry." And I'm like, Oh, like I thought she was joking. I was like, oh yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm like, okay. And so as I back out of the elevator, I look at the attendant, the guy is in charge, right? He should be the one saying how many people on the elevator.
Yeah, that's right.
He just kind of shrugs his shoulders.
Wow.
And so I can't remember what all I said. I kind of got hot really quick, and I pointed. There were 5 dots. There were 5 dots on the floor of the elevator. I pointed that out, and the sign did say 4, so there's discrepancy there. There were 5 dots, and I think I don't know. I might have called her a Karen or something like that, and I said you're saving lives. I think I said you're saving lives.
Yes, I think you called her a Karen and said thank you for saving lives.
And so that was that. And then I didn't know about it. I remember telling you and Corey, and you guys started laughing like hyenas. She tweeted about it. She was bragging that she had kicked me off the elevator.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And so then the other day I got was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
It's Wednesday.
Got in the elevator once again, the last on of like 8 this time. None of us in masks, right? And there she is in the elevator. I'm like, and maybe this exact same elevator is the same bank of elevators. And I was like, okay, that's there we go. We're just gotta come in full circle here. And I got to stay on.
Did you say anything? Oh, this elevator's pretty packed.
I should
feel like there's probably 1 or 2 too many people on this elevator right now.
I did. I faced backward toward everybody like the guy in the Progressive commercial.
See everybody else is standing, Mick.
And I was just the happiest guy in there. I held court, and I was so happy that I got to stay in the elevator with her.
That's great. That's great. You know, it's a long time coming. Long time coming. You got,
you know what? Made some strides.
Got the final word. You got the final word in. So, good for you on that. You're tired of the storylines that are going on this week.
I am. So let's talk about them.
Are you? Well, let's talk about just simply the game in general. As the matchup for Chiefs and Bengals, the fourth go around. Do you have a feel for this game?
Yes, and my feels aren't always accurate. Sometimes I feel inaccurately. I have bad feels. I have bad touches sometimes. Okay?
I've been trying to get a feel for the game.
I have become more and more confident on the Chiefs as the week has gone by, and it has nothing to do with the roller coaster of the betting lines, which Sunday I pounced on the Chiefs at -1 and it gets to Chiefs +2.5. I'm like, well, I should have waited on that. And now I guess I got better odds than it is now because it's 1.5. I think it depends on where you go. And I got a lesson on gambling yesterday at Chiefs from Petro, and I learned a lot because obviously he lived out there and he knows a lot more than me.
So was he talking about the line moving and what it meant?
Well, first of all, he said, hey, it's not a 2-point swing, that's a 1 point. They're not going to do a pick 'em there. So like FanDuel was -1 for Chiefs and +1 for Chiefs on DraftKings or vice versa or something like that at the time. It's only a 1 point swing.
I get it. Yeah.
And I was like, how are they all so similar? The group think is the same. He's like, well, there's the same math, the same algorithm they all pretty much use. He goes, they all hang out too. They're all buddies, right? The heads of all these books. And so
beers.
If somebody's a little bit off, they'll maybe reel them in, or maybe he'll swing. And then he talked about like, a syndicate putting in a big bet, and that might have swung things. And you got the sharps. Is it sharps or sharks?
Both.
Yeah.
Whales, sharps,
and
pros.
Sharks.
Pros.
Sharks are for pool, sharps are for betting.
Yeah, and then I was asking him, I can't remember what he said, but I asked him, how big of a bet does it take from a syndicate or a group of people or just a really, really rich guy to swing things? I mean, does that have to have 2 commas in it?
Yes, 7 figures?
Yes. I think he said something like that. But it was very interesting. Anyway, I've become more and more confident, and just going back and looking at those games and reliving them, and I know you've watched all of them, I'm sure, multiple times, and have not acknowledged your family this week. Good for you. I appreciate your love of the craft.
Patrick Mahomes can talk about I'm not home all week getting ready for this game, but I'm a bad dad because I'm getting ready for this game.
You've both been in the lab.
I got a job to do.
Your wife and Brittany have been just hanging out together. Like
I've got a job to do.
The fact that their husbands aren't at home. Yes.
We both have a job to do.
Absolutely.
Both
Equally
of us,
important.
Very important.
Very important.
Very important, okay? And I'm playing injured. I'm just old.
Absolutely. You're old. Your ankles.
I got a calf injury
Your
right
ankles
now.
are 100%, and they're still way worse than his hurt ankle.
That's exactly right. That is true, actually.
The Chiefs should have won all 3 games, right?
Yes.
Really should have won 2 of them.
Yes.
And we're up in the fourth quarter on the one that is closer to the coin flip, right? I've always thought like Yeah, Kelsey fumbled in the fourth quarter, but there were like 14 minutes left, right? There were a lot of possessions after that.
Yeah.
The Chiefs had plenty of time to overcome that. I don't blame the loss simply on that.
Yeah.
There were a lot of other snaps after.
Don't fall behind 14-3.
Don't fall behind 14-3. Get a stop. It's late. Burrow made an amazing throw that probably no other team allows their quarterbacks to have the balls to do that on that play right after a sack.
That was the third down they converted on that drive.
Yeah.
They converted a 3rd and 7 in which Samaje Perine picked up 7 yards, even though he caught the ball 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. 3rd and 5, Jamar Chase, and that little throw down the line of scrimmage in which he, terrible angles, picks up the first down. 3rd and 11, T. Higgins. So yes, any of those you get a stop, you get the ball back. Maybe you're down by 3, maybe you're down by 6, depending on when you get that 3rd down stop. But you still get the ball back, and they didn't do it.
And 2 of those 3 games were on the road. Only one has been at Burrowhead. I guess you win once, you get to rename yourself after the stadium.
That's right.
And he's not doing it, I know. But I am tired of that whole deal. And so the Chiefs dominated that game. And it took Mahomes having a concussion and a concussion in his arm and concussions in his knees and having the worst half of his adult life.
You think he was concussed in that second half? That's been a theory that went around right after it happened.
I mean, it's a very convenient thing, right?
Yes.
Chiefs fans
it was in
really...
Eric Bieniemy's contract that Patrick Mahomes had to be concussed in the second half of that game.
I was about to say that.
Oh, callback.
Great play call, Andy.
I love the callback.
Why is Bieniemy running on 3rd and 9?
It's obvious. First half, Andy Reid called the plays.
Yes.
Second half, Eric Bieniemy called the plays.
Yes.
That much we know.
But, I mean... Well, it is Mahomes, and I was on the radio with some guys in San Diego yesterday. I brought that up. They're like, "Oh yeah, you guys in KC. I mean, Mahomes is a bad half. He has to be concussed or something." I'm like, "Yeah, or possessed by a demon spirit. Something had to be going on there." And so it's a very convenient excuse. It happened maybe, I don't know, people show me the hit or whatever in the first half. But they still had opportunities. They still should have won the game in that last offensive possession of the second half. And so. I don't think that half is going to happen. I mean, what of the 7 of the 8 halves he's played of conference championship game play, he has been lights out.
Yeah.
12 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, probably 1,300 yards, whatever it is. And, I don't think that's going to happen again. Look, the difference is, the Chiefs made those colossal mistakes. They've made it pretty much every game this season.
Yep.
They were just good enough to overcome them against these other teams. The Bengals are too good to overcome them. Don't do that stuff.
Yep.
Right?
Don't turn the ball
over. I
over.
think the Chiefs are going to be fine. I really do. I don't think either offense is too afraid of the other defense. I do like points in this game, even though it's going to be cold. Maybe both around 30. Maybe closer to that score that we saw in the first game last year, 34-31. But I like the Chiefs in this more and more.
If the Chiefs get to 30, they would win because Burrow's teams have never got to 30 in the postseason yet.
There you go.
We'll take it.
Hurry and get to 30.
First team to 30 wins.
And shut her down.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810.
Love. It makes us do crazy things, like being the first one to say, "I love you," or adopting a cat together when you're more of a dog person. Celebrate the madness of love with a perfect Valentine's gift from Hellsberg Diamonds. Right now, half-carat diamond heart pendants in your choice of white, yellow, or rose gold are just $399.99, a savings of $500. Show her you're smitten with a gift of gorgeous jewelry at our best prices of the season. Hurry, Valentine's Day is Tuesday, February 14th. Shop at Hellsberg.com.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Women aren't going to just come to your house and take their
You
clothes
can't-
off
listen,
if you don't
listen,
have live nudes.
listen.
But if you do, they might.
Listen, you can't hang a sign that says dead nudes.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I will hear from Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Orlando Brown, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Creed Humphrey, starting at 1 o'clock as Chiefs and Bengals coming up this weekend. Last opportunity for the Chiefs at the podium.
My prediction?
What?
Frank Clark's going to say something that's going to offend the Bengals, and we'll get reaction from the Bengals today, and they're going to pretend to be upset.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I'm tired of is their hypocrisy.
You know, they already have lines set at some sports books for a potential Chiefs, Eagles, and Chiefs, Niners Super Bowl.
They don't have one for Bengals, do they?
No, they do.
Oh.
Juju Smith-Schuster summed this up perfectly when he said, I've been playing in the league against these guys since I got in the league. I've been playing against these guys. This is what they do. They talk more than anybody, and then they get offended if somebody chirps back.
Sounds like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
It's almost like he's a team leader, and like his antics are followed by others.
He is one hell of a coattail rider. He's riding the coattail and then acting like he's the one that actually made the coat.
Don't hold it against the whole team, man. It's just one bad apple.
I think there's more than one.
You probably fill a book with them. Book of Eli. Sorry, Mick, you do this one.
Apple sauce, apple pie, apple.
Sauce Gardner called him Pat Bev of the NFL.
Fruit.
Applesauce there.
Fruity apple tree. I'll work on it.
It's the Black...
The Zone with Jason Anderson
I went to BYU, so every down's a throwing down. I mean, that's how that goes.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I will head out to Arrowhead here soon when Andy Reid gets to the podium. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Orlando Brown, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, and Creed Humphrey.
I think the Chiefs are going to shake Apple down to his core because at the heart of it, he's really thin-skinned. Apple is.
I didn't spend the break thinking of those. My fault. Sorry
Nick
about that.
is currently shoulder shimmying. You didn't think of anything, Jason?
I didn't know we were doing that. I apologize.
thought for sure we planted a seed for you.
2 seconds.
By the way, I just threw that and my headphones went out. So
He threw a pin, headphones turned it off.
Get the static
pin bounced
electricity
back.
going here in the hello 1 2 3 1 2 3. What am I? I'm being told that the Chiefs will be at the podium here soon.
I can't believe we've gone down this wormhole.
Oh, that just knocked my headphones back on. All right,
It's incredible how that works sometimes.
All right,
Fall down a well? Kick by a mule?
Go on, Cross. I don't know. So we'll hear from them. A couple of things that I had pointed out earlier in the show that I thought
I wish
was
I had more
fun.
Apple puns, but I'm plumb out.
Weren't you glad we're doing this?
No! Jason, what were your points?
We're just cherry picking.
Jason, please start
Easy.
talking.
No, I'm waiting to
Easy
see.
puns. We're cherry picking.
Here's Andy Reid.
Really, the only one that didn't practice was Justin Watson. He's sick, and so everybody else went through practice, did a nice job with it really all week. We look forward to the challenge of playing Cincinnati. They're, again, a good football team, and look forward to bringing them here to Arrowhead. With that, time's yours.
Coach, yesterday you said Mahomes was on track to play Sunday. Now that you got 3 days in of work, what's your comfort level that he will be a full go?
Yeah, no, he looks good. Yeah. Yes.
What's your comfort level with his mobility after 3 days?
Yeah, he looks good. I mean, he's moving around good. Yeah, I think he go out and play.
Coach, you're sitting on 52 players on the active roster. Jody Fort's is still a candidate to be called up before the game?
Potentially, yeah, he is. We're just gonna see how everything goes here. Have numbers there.
I know you don't have an answer probably on whether McCole can play or not, but how has he progressed this week?
Yeah, no, he's worked his tail off. I think he's feeling better than what he was definitely last week. Yeah, so we'll see how he does. I mean, he's practicing. Yeah.
Which it was earlier in the year, but after the Indy game, you mentioned how you challenged the offensive line a little bit more. Is that something that you do this week going into this game when you got it?
I feel like they're focused. They understand where we're at and what's going on. So, yeah. All right. Nice meeting with you guys for 3 days.
He hated every
There you
second
go.
of that.
Oh, no doubt, man, no doubt. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with Andy Reid, along with Monday. So yeah, thanks, guys. That's it. Few questions. Yeah, how's Patrick Mahomes look? How's the mobility? What about McCole Hardman? The offensive line challenge? Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. Looks good, apparently, Patrick Mahomes, according to.
He's going to play, and he's going to be fine. There are going to be people out there that don't know about the ankle injury watching the game. They won't be able to tell.
You think?
I know.
Nobody's going to know about it?
I know. We as the media will not let him be healthy this week. We just won't. But he will be.
I think he's going to be fine.
Totally fine.
I think he's and I think he's going to have a phenomenal game. I've been talking myself into it all week. This is
I don't think you need to talk yourself into it.
I know, but it's sort of like there's.
You got the kind of the
there's a principle of it after
Midwestern fan kind of in the back of your head.
It's the principle of this.
She's going to drop
December 5th when I said on the air that if the Chiefs play the Bengals again, I'm not picking them to win. I'm not picking them to win because they haven't done it. So on principle alone, it's like, until they do it, like, do I keep picking it since it'll be 4 games in a row that I would pick the Chiefs to win? So I'm going to pick the Bengals to win by 72. Roughly.
Like it.
72 because it would be 71, but Butker misses an extra point, makes it 72-point margin is what I was thinking.
I'm disappointed we're not going to hear from Patrick today to get more of his thoughts on his ankle.
See if
Patrick, I know we've asked you how it felt immediately after, and like that night, and then the next day we've asked you about that, and then 2 days later.
Right.
What about 8.5 hours after it happened? You're probably sleeping. How did the ankle feel then? I have a think piece.
Can you compare your ankle injury now to what 2019's ankle injury was 5 days after the ankle injury?
Can you imagine yourself as being left-handed in 2019 to where that ankle injury would have been on your back foot like it is now? And you've thrown passes left-handed.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
This shouldn't be hard.
Patrick, there's video going
Please,
around.
I've got 5,000 words I need to write.
At practice today, you did not have your helmet, and everybody else did. Is that an indication that you're now not going to play?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you feel good. You're moving around. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Patrick, would you rather lop off one of your toes or to magically heal your ankle, or just play through the injury you currently have?
Patrick, would you describe your ankle as the worst pain ever and probably unplayable, or an alien limb that should be severed?
Patrick,
I guess it's not I guess it's the worst pain ever. I probably shouldn't play. Wow, Patrick Mahomes says that it's the worst pain ever, and he that's amazing given those two choices, but he chose that.
That's our headline.
Patrick, my question is, can you talk about your ankle?
I wish there was. I wish. You know what? I should have taken an hour off of work just to go out there, just to be the person that says, Patrick, can you talk about your ankle?
And
Just to
honestly,
be that
that's
person.
actually too much credit, because we did at least put it in the form of a question. Can you talk about your ankle? He could just say yes.
Talk about your ankle.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And
Talk about your ankle.
And
Patrick,
if
talk
he
about
was
your ankle.
ornery, he would just talk nonstop about how good it feels and how great it's doing, and then say, "Yeah, that's how my left ankle feels."
Which ankle?
That ankle. Okay.
You said talk about my ankle. I got two of them. You didn't specify. That's a you problem, sir. I actually am to the point where I'm more concerned with what McCole Hardman looks like right now than
He's not gonna
Patrick
play.
Mahomes.
He's going to look like somebody in street clothes.
I've heard he's going to play.
I bet he's not. It's been since week 9,
and
he's still an LP.
No. One of my buddies saw his fiance looking for houses here in Kansas City. So I think he's going to play.
Right next to the stadium.
Yeah, right there.
Like a shorter drive.
That's right. So that tells me that he's going to play if they're already searching for real estate around town.
Do you guys want to bet against each other? I can be the bookmaker for you, and you guys can have a little Doesn't McCole Hardman play.
I think Fortson will take the spot of. Who would it be? Well,
Lamont's
spot.
Well, wouldn't Marcus Kemp take that spot? Because if Lamont isn't there, Marcus Kemp is.
I've heard he can't catch a bleeping pass.
He can. He just didn't do that particularly.
Oh, okay.
I'm hashtagging 14 personnel.
I kind of like 14 personnel.
That's what I'm hashtagging
I'd like
on
to
this
see a
one.
snap or two of that. That would make me really happy.
Is Justin Watson, air quotes, sick because they need Marcus Kemp and McCole Hardman up this weekend?
Point.
So Marcus Kemp's going to be able to play, and without Chris Lamons, they need Marcus Kemp, so there's an extra wide receiver.
Figuratively,
So now,
Justin Watson might be getting kicked off the elevator.
Not literally.
Not literally, no.
Figuratively, because there are only 4 wide receivers allowed.
There's only 4 dots.
4 dots as wide receivers. Sorry, Justin. McCole's here, so that's going to be Juju.
I heard there were 5 dots.
Yeah.
It's going to be Juju.
That's what he said. There's 5 dots, man. The sign
Marquise.
says there's 4.
Bud.
Tony.
Bud.
McCole. And then Sky. Sorry, Justin. Because Marcus Kemp's going to take that spot. So Chris Lamons. Hey, by the way, it does suck for Lamons.
Yes, he's the only guy who really gets
awful
bleeped here.
For Lamons. That sucked because he can't play.
He can't play now.
He was going to be brought back probably at some point.
Yeah, he was going to play this weekend.
Yeah, I think
he was
so.
going to play this weekend. It was just a clerical move, and instead the Bengals total D moves. It's a D move just to be a D, but it actually hurts Chris Lamons. He's not going to play, and he ain't going to play for the Bengals next year.
No,
he's going to become a free agent and sign a futures contract with the Chiefs.
That's right.
A week after the season ends. And he's never going to play, and therefore he didn't get to play in the championship game or the Super Bowl. But if you're the Bengals, you're going, that's one of their best special teams players, though. That's the guy. Dave Tobe loves Chris Lamons as a gunner and on special teams. Okay, they're lesser than because we've done this, and we don't care what it means for Lamons. He could be out there playing against us, or he can not be out there at all. Yeah, we'll do that. I mean, it's the NFL.
You know the mechanisms better than I do. I can't even say it, but is there any other way they could have worked that?
I mean, I don't know other players they could have done, but there was no chance they thought that a team would claim him off waivers.
I thought it was interesting that Dave Tobe said something. It was along the lines of Brett had a plan. He's a smart guy. It's too bad it didn't work out. That sounds like him going, they told me they had a plan and that we were going to have him, and now we don't, and I'm pissed.
And Chris Lamons was probably told, hey, this is just paperwork stuff, so we're gonna waive you, and then we'll bring you back on Wednesday, and it'll be all good. So don't go anywhere. Hey, Chris.
Still, you can.
I don't know how to tell you this, man.
If you want on Sunday, but you'll just be on the other.
Yeah, you'll be on the other side. Does he wear Bengals gear on the sideline if he's there?
Think not.
I don't think he
he's
can
be there.
speak to them until after the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So even like the intel thing or whatever. No, I don't believe they can have contact until the new league year starts.
Because that'll stop them.
Well, look, I mean, if Chris Lamons went over and told them all the secrets of the Chiefs special teams, I mean, hey, we miss kicks every once in a while. Our coverage isn't that good. Sometimes the holds are bad.
When the Chiefs win, the Bengals can't waive him and the Chiefs pick him up and have him play in the Super Bowl, correct?
They would have to. I don't think.
But
I don't think the Chiefs.
But if the Chiefs were to claim him, would he be able to play in the Super Bowl?
It would be the same deal as like him getting claimed now from the Chiefs.
He would just be able to go on the trip, even if he was able to do that. He would just be there as accompanying the rest of the team. His season's over.
Right. I don't know if he could be waived before the start of the new league year. I don't even know if that's a move they could make.
Again?
Yeah, because it is.
He's not technically on their team till like March 1st.
It's February. It's shortly after the Super Bowl. It's not fully, because you're right, Mick. It's the new league year's in March. The specifics on Lamons, I think, is right after the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So there you go. It sucks for him. But what are you going to do? It's life in the NFL.
Because that was my first reaction. I'm like, oh, they're going to try to mine him for information now. It's just they're keep him from coming back to the Chiefs.
Here's just the phrasing. The move is deferred until February 13th.
Okay.
I've never seen this little move before like this.
I've seen
haven't.
it like right before games. I think the Chiefs have done it right before games. Pin up guys like, okay, why did they get this guy?
They kind of did it for Melvin Gordon, but like no one's like they need some extra intel for the Broncos.
Well, there was a guy, and maybe it was just because it was practice squad, but there was a guy last year that played in a playoff game, and then that team lost, and the next round claimed him off that team's practice squad. And then he played that next week.
No way, really?
He played back. It was like last year.
I think because then the contract,
practice squad,
right? At that point, you could maybe go back into the active pool. Where for Lamons, I don't think he is on a team at all until February 13th. And at that point, that's the first time he can officially be a Bengal.
Because he played in the wild card, and then was back on that team's practice squad. A team that was
never
still
waived, right?
A team that was still playing claimed him off the practice squad, and he played that next week. Who was it? They were down like a bunch of defensive linemen. Was it the Bengals? No, I don't think it was the Bengals. I don't think it was the Bills. Maybe it was the Titans. I don't know who it was. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Either way, Chris Jones apparently, we're told, is on the way to the podium right now. So we'll see when he gets there.
Oh, it's gonna be slower today because they've already had practice.
Yep, that's right. Chris Jones apparently is in the room. So he is in the room. He is here. He is in the room. So there you go. I was just getting ready to give my stats that I was going to give out right before. Gave it out in the first
Jason.
hour, but here's
stats.
Chris Jones.
Oh.
G-High Stadium. I mean, no, I'm just joking, man. I'm just joking.
Chris, what are the vibes like in practice this week?
I mean, good energy. Everybody's dialed in and focused. We know what's ahead of us. We know the challenge in front of us, and we're prepared.
We talked a long time about how disappointing last year was, and it's rare to get the same exact opportunity against the same team. How much are you guys relishing that opportunity to sort of make up for that?
Listen, God is good, man. It's like a full 360, right? Same thing, same circumstances under Burrowhead Stadium, so feeling good about it.
Did you just say Burrowhead Stadium?
Yeah, Burrowhead Stadium, right? Yeah.
Hey, Chris, it seems like you guys have been pretty conscious of not, let's say, doing trash talk during the week back at them. How does that stuff, though, play into what your own mentality is as you deal with what you're hearing from them?
I can't control anyone else. I think this program is run like that. It's been run like that for years. We don't do a lot of talking. We just go out and play the game respectfully.
Chris, is there something you can kind of put your finger on why they've gotten the best of you in these close games the last 3?
I think it's the team who defense who caused the most turnovers and the offense who makes the least amount of mistakes. Their teams tend to prevail. So, we got a huge challenge ahead of us. But a great team, great offense, heck of a quarterback. And we know what's ahead of us. We know what we have to do in order to, overcome these obstacles. And we just got to put the ball down.
Chris, Joe Burrow talked about how difficult it is to get away from someone like you and the way that you attack and rush. What makes him so difficult as a quarterback to go against?
I haven't touched him yet in the playoffs, but I appreciate the kind words. He's tough to bring down. He's quicker than he's perceived, agile, slithery at times, and hopefully we're able to get our hands around him and get him down a couple of times. But he's definitely a challenge to bring down.
You played this team. This will be 4 times in 13 months. The stakes have been high almost every time you play. Does this feel like the start of a rivalry between these 2 teams? You guys might be seeing each other several times here.
Start of a rivalry. Yeah, you can say that. There's been huge games that we have to play them in. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to win not one of them. So, for our end, a rivalry is when you go back and forth with winning and losing, winning and losing. We haven't beaten them yet, so I don't think we can call it a rivalry yet, or that's kind of far-fetched.
Chris, you're used to it every week, but you get extra attention. I think we know that. When you're doubled so often, I know that can be disheartening. How do you keep yourself mentally in it throughout the course of the game?
Me double means the other guys around me are able to get single blocks, and I'm able to open up the game for a lot of individuals on the line. So, when you take the me out of it and the selfish aspect out of it, you're freeing up your teammates, and it's not meant for you to make all the sacks all the time as much as I would love to, or make all the plays all the time. Sometimes it's about you freeing up other players so, they can excel.
Chris, I know there'll be different offensive linemen in this game than the previous meeting, but when you've watched them on film from that last game, is there anything else that sort of jumps out to you or something that you guys will have to account for?
Being down starters, they did really, really well against Buffalo. Buffalo has a really, really good defensive line to me. Ed Oliver, Jordan Phillips. They don't have their main guy, Von Miller, but they have a lot of quality guys on their defensive line. And, being down 3 offensive line and going in, and I don't think he gave up over 2 sacks. I mean, that's tremendous. That's a remarkable job to those guys. All off to those guys, man. They're blocking their tails off.
Chris, is your buddy Frank Clark playing better football now than you've seen him since he's been to Kansas City?
I wouldn't say that. I think he's speaking at the right time. Coach Reed talks about it throughout the year, making sure we peak throughout the season, towards the end of the season and going to the playoff. You playing your best football, and I think that's the way the trends goes when you want to, get to this level and when you're playing these games in January and February. And Frank has been playing out of his mind, run game, pass game, and he's doing what he's been doing for years in the playoffs. His name in the playoffs speaks for itself. His amount of sacks, I think he tied with Reggie White for 4th. And I mean, that's tremendous right there. So we got to keep Frank going, keep him bringing them down, and continue.
Chris, what do you do now? I mean, you got all the practice in. You got almost 2 days to wait for this. What's tomorrow look like for you?
Rest, watch a little more film, see what else I can pick up, and eliminate all distractions. Take care. See y'all at Burrowhead Stadium.
Woo! If only the Chiefs could have won at Cincinnati those times, we could be calling it Patcore Stadium.
Either way.
You already made that joke?
Yesterday, I think. Yeah, that's all right.
We did. Thank you, though.
I'm glad you're here to do it.
Listen, I'm a long-time caller, first-time listener to the show.
Yeah. They're aware of Burrowhead Stadium. That was as sort of a bleep you, okay, let's see, without saying, okay, let's see on the field from Chris Jones, right? Burrowhead Stadium, that's what it's called, right? Burrowhead Stadium? Yeah.
Yeah.
Burrowhead? Yeah. I mean, we'll see you guys at Burrowhead.
mean, Derek Carr's one here.
Carhead.
Camaro head.
Whoa.
I just. Damn it!
As a married guy for 23 years, I ask, what is that?
Oh my God! That was his last name.
Wait, are there any quarterbacks with the last name Rhodes?
Oh my! No, there isn't.
No.
But what would it be if there were, Jason?
No, Jason, don't worry about it, man.
It would be non-home. All right, so Burrowhead. Yeah, Chris Jones is pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you should be motivated to play in an AFC Championship game.
Has Xavier Rhodes ever won at GEHA Field?
Xavier
Geha Field?
Is that a Xavier Head?
Uh-huh.
Xavier Head?
Yeah,
That doesn't.
Xavier Head,
Yeah,
yeah.
No, that doesn't really rhyme.
You're the corner.
Xavier Ha? G-E-H Xavier? Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, that's definitely what it was.
At Arrowhead? No, he is not. I don't think he's won at that spot. I'm not sure.
I'll look into it. He played for the Colts for a couple of years.
Isn't that Dr. Rhodes to you?
Don't know what that reference is to, so.
Isn't he a doctor? Isn't Xavier Rhodes like
him being a doctor, I guess.
Like an actual doctor?
No, oh boy, is that? Oh, I'm gonna look
Didn't
into
he
it.
go to
I'm gonna look
Florida
into
State?
it, Jason.
Yeah.
He did.
Either way. Chris Jones is pissed. There's an extra motivation. They're going to be ready to go.
So, are you thinking of the Rhodes Scholar as like a naming thing? And if you won at Arrowhead as a Rhodes Scholar,
No,
Scholarhead.
Was it
Rhodes?
No, there's
Head.
a former NFL defensive back.
Myron Roll.
Myron Roll.
He was also Florida State.
They got the
right.
Rhodes.
He was a Rhodes Scholar.
Myron
yes.
Roll got the Rhodes Scholar,
There
not
you go.
Xavier Rhodes.
Both of them did play at Florida State,
and
though.
Myron Roll rolled down that road to a doctor.
There you go.
He is a doctor now. Myron Roll is. And Chris Jones, I hope, is
Dr. Sack.
I was going to say that he was peeling apart and dissecting the offensive line for the Bengals.
And remember, Karras is battling through a knee as well.
Yep. Jonah Williams and Alex Kappa are out for the game.
I think that more than cancels out Mixon being back for this game.
See,
I think it's still advantage Chiefs there.
I think Samaje Perine a bigger threat than Joe Mixon. I mean, Joe Mixon, fine. The Chiefs need to be ready to stop the run. But where Joe Burrow has killed the Chiefs and the Bills last week was when he was pressured and right before he got hit, a little dump off to Samaje Perine. And last week, Joe Mixon as well. But earlier this year when Joe Mixon did not play in that game, it was Samaje Perine in the passing game that was the killer.
I hated them both equally in college.
The 3 games they have played against the Chiefs, 23 targets to running backs, 20 receptions, 169 yards, and a touchdown. We can talk about T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but it's been those small little death by 1,000 cuts to the running backs that have done them in. Here's Frank Clark.
Game again, playing the same team you played. Does he get old yet being in all these title games?
I don't think it never get old. You got to enjoy the process. My last 4 years here, I was talking to some of the younger guys, some of the, newer guys that haven't been around with us for, this journey, and just letting them know the importance of just enjoying the journey, enjoying the, the road you're on with your guys. It's always a new team. Every year it's a new team. It's a new group of guys. Even through the season, guys get sent away, guys come and go. But it's just enjoying this group of guys, enjoying this journey that we've been on because, we've been fortunate. A lot of us have been fortunate. We've seen the AFC Championship now, 4 times in the last, 5 straight, actually. Sorry, I don't want to shorthand this. But, I've seen it 4 times straight now. And it's a very fortunate, it's a very humbling experience. So got to take advantage of it. I feel like we've taken advantage of it multiple times in the earlier years. But, as of recently, we haven't. But, it's time for a change and just getting back to it. We got to just get back in the rhythm and get back in the groove of things.
Frank, go ahead. What is it about Joe Burrow that makes him so difficult to bring down?
I think just number one, I feel like pocket quarterback. I feel like he's the best in the game. You got that Peyton Manning in him. You know, no matter how many times he gets hit, no matter how many times he gets knocked down, he's getting back up. He's controlling, bringing it, and pulling his offense back together and making the adjustments and making the right plays. He knows how to read safeties and he knows how to read the defense. And when you're an immature defense or when you're, you know, a defense that, you know, you can't really disguise the coverages or disguise things, he's going to pick you apart every time. And I feel like in the past, and you know, last 3 games, those are things that he's been able to do. Is just exposes in, you know, those different aspects.
Frank, Chris was just in here and called jokingly Burrowhead. So you guys have heard some of this stuff. How motivating can some of that trash talking be when it's this far ahead of the game?
You know, it's gonna motivate those who are listening and those who are watching. You know, I guess. But I mean, when you're not one of those guys who paying attention to those things, I don't think it's gonna motivate you at all. I mean, at the end of the day, trash talk is trash talk. You know, you gonna hear it, people gonna say the things they're gonna say. But I mean, at the end of the day, they got the right to call it whatever they want. I mean, at the end of the day, when you have the win, you have the, you know, the last laugh. They have the last laugh right now. So all we can do is look forward to the matchup that we got this Sunday. You know, go out there and you know, get our laugh back. But at the end of the day, they got the last laugh. You know, they've won the last 3 games. They've held us from going to the Super Bowl last year, and then in the regular season this year, they've defeated us. So it's been a lot of close games. I believe we lost about 3 points for all of 3 of those games. So it's games that's coming down to the wire, but obviously they're able to finish them. And defensively, you know, we've let the games out of our hands. So we just got to collectively, as an offense and defense, finally bring it together and win the game.
Frank, you were experiencing the illness, and you weren't feeling great early this season ahead of playing the Bengals. I just wonder what you learned through that experience and how that may serve you if you are obviously at peak condition on Sunday.
Yeah, it's just being smart with the choices, you know, through the week that I have to make. I'm kind of unique in that aspect, you know, with things I got to eat and just how I got to prepare myself in that way. And, you know, I can tell you that being in Kansas City compared to, you know, Cincinnati preparing for a game, I think I'm kind of more in favor of being here. I got my house here. I got my doctors here. I got everything I need here to be successful, you know. And I was in Cincy last time. You know, it's simple things that every normal human being does, like forget their pills. You know what I mean? I can forget my pills and wake up on game day and I'm looking for them and I can't find them. And then it's like, oh, boom, stomach, you know. But that don't happen when I'm at home. You know what I mean? It's the little things that when you're at home, you know, that doesn't happen, that kind of, you know, that gives you the, quote, advantage that I'm able to do. So.
Right. Kind of along those lines, you were saying you're feeling better. You made a lot of off-season changes in your health, and I know different personal changes that you made. Now going into this AFC Championship, do you just overall feel better as a being?
I say so, yes. Of course, like everybody else, you know, in our position right now, it's only 4 teams left, but, I mean, the teams that I have, you know, I'm hurting. I'm sore as hell, but I think, like I said, I got another, you know, group of guys in the locker room with, I'm sure feel the same way I feel. But health-wise, I'm thankful for what I do have. I'm healthy enough to compete at the highest level, I feel like, to give my shot, to give myself a chance to play the best, you know, football game I can play this weekend. I can tell you that. That's one thing I can guarantee. I can guarantee that, you know, practice this week up until this point has been pretty good. And, you know, things just feel the right way. So at the end of the day, usually when things feel the right way for me, good stuff happens.
Frank has been really moving up the postseason sack charts career-wise in the NFL, and it seems that you're able to peak late in the season, and the playoffs in particular. What's been kind of the common denominator in that? Why do you think you're able to do that in the playoffs? And, just your way to that, I guess.
Yeah, I got asked that question before, I think. And I think I always say I can't really talk. I can't speak on it yet because it's kind of still I'm playing still. And it's like it'll give my opponent and it'll give other people a chance to study me, I guess, in a different way. So the things that I see and the things that I'm able to study in the playoffs and, you know, in comparison to the season is 2 different things, the way I study the game. So, like I said, I'll be able to answer that in the future probably.
Without getting into the, you know, specifics of strategy, is there some emotional peak you feel like you're able to achieve in the postseason that's part of it?
I guess emotionally, I guess no. I wouldn't call it emotional. I just think it just all comes together at that point. I kind of get a little bit more freedom in the postseason. You know, it's a winner, go home. So, I mean, when you got that mindset as a player, then when you have that mindset as a coach, you know, and relation, you know, understanding your player, you know, I think that's where it comes from. You know, it's kind of like when you get to the postseason, I get that nod from Coach Reed, and it's like, yeah, go ahead, do your thing. And, you know, kind of during the season, you got to understand it's kind of trying to win the game to get to that point. You trying to, you know, you got to do everything right, you know, to get to that point. You know, when you get to the playoffs, you know, you got those dogs, you got certain people where you can say, you know, give them the green light, you know. It's a reason why they brought me here, you know. But, you know, I allow y'all to do the right.
Frank, you've taken George under your wing this year. How do you feel he's prepared? How prepared is he for a moment like this?
He well prepared.
Frank, as the vet, have you caught on some of the young guys or somebody to step up? Because I would say, you know, all y'all step up as a D-line, but is there someone in particular that you kind of harped on that really need you this game?
I always say, you know, like Carlos said, yeah, we need everybody, but I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we need everybody. But you know, I want just my interior. You know, I love my interior guys, and you know, my back end, my corners. You know what I mean? Them are young guys. So you know, as a defensive unit, our front seven, we're kind of the more, you know, we're the veterans. You know, you got the linebackers in the defensive line. We're the veterans. When you got this young back end, two corners who are rookies for the most part, 2-3 and 3-5, and you got Snead leading them. You know, in year 4, you got to look at the numbers. You know what I mean? It all says young, but why not? You know, I feel like Snead is one of the best in the game at what he does, if not the best at what he does. He just doesn't get all the praise and all the glory that a lot of these other guys get. I feel like 2-3 and 3-5, I feel you watch 3-5 make one of the best plays a corner has probably made all year, and a one-hand interception in the game, you know, in the playoff game, a serious game, a big-time game that sends you to the AFC Championship. So, you know, these guys have made these type of plays all year. And as an older guy, as a year 8 guy, you know, as a guy who, you know, always want to see the next young guy, you know, make that leap. I'm proud of these young guys. You know, I'm proud of how they've come and stepped into the light and do their thing. You know what I mean?
Anyone else? Last one. Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. All right, there's Frank Clark. We'll also hear from Travis Kelce and Orlando Brown and Creed Humphrey.
Masterclass there by Frank.
I love
where he
listening
can
to
prop up the Bengals, say all the right things, say all the good things, but then still deliver sound bites, still deliver that he's confident going into this game. Say, hey, props to you guys. You can say whatever you want. You've won the last 3. That was really good.
But also talking about himself when you're healthy and feel good.
And also wearing a expletive on his hat.
Mind over bull bleep. Only it didn't say bleep. And also a hoodie that says MOB, mind over bull bleep. So right now he's worrying more about what's going on in the matchup rather than the bull bleep that may be going on outside of the press conferences and locker rooms and things like that. So I believe we'll hear from Creed Humphrey next, and then Orlando Brown and Travis Kelce here before the press conferences are over. But Frank Clark saying it feels good that Arrowhead's going to get his best. Here's Creed Humphrey.
I know you guys address the same things in practice every week, but has there been any more emphasis on staying clean?
Yeah, for sure. Being in the playoffs, these games are won and lost, in the trenches. So, whoever's going to be playing the best, as far as line of scrimmage goes, that's who's going to win the game. So we know we have a, difficult job coming up. It's a talented front seven that they have, and it's going to be a battle. So it's going to be a fun game.
What have you seen from Patrick throughout the week? Take us back to Sunday when he was hurt, and then he came back in, and then what have you seen from him throughout the week as his progression?
Yeah, him coming back in just kind of, shows his toughness. We all knew he was tough. We knew he's competitive and all that. So seeing him come in, finish the game, that was, really cool to see. We know he's a tough guy, and we knew he could do it. And, I feel like he's progressing well right now. He's doing some stuff in practice. He's starting to, feel how he should feel, coming up game time, So I think he's excited to be able to get out there and compete, and that's how he is. He's a competitor, so it's going to be exciting to see him play.
They pushed you guys a few more times than the Bengals did in the last matchup. I just think, one, what did you feel like you guys learned in that, and are there things that they're doing now that are even slightly different from the blitz package that they showed you in the last game?
Yeah, they game plan really well. Credit to their defensive coordinator. He's a great DC, and they got great players to go along with that. So they do a really good job. They bring a lot of different looks at you. They throw a bunch of different looks at you, things like that. So, we're just going to go in there, be prepared, ready to play concept football, and trust what we're seeing, trust how we play and play with awareness.
Green, I know you want success as an offense, but is there a strong desire to run the ball a lot when you get to the playoffs and get to these goal games like this?
Yeah, I think every offensive lineman would tell you, we want to be able to run the ball effectively. So, yeah, definitely. That's kind of a big thing for offensive linemen. We want to be able to win the battle up front, be able to run the ball effectively, be able to keep Pat clean, things like that. So, definitely going in there, that's definitely something we want to do is be able to run the ball well this week.
Have y'all seen something what it's going to take to kind of dominate the trenches?
Yeah, just playing smart, sound assignment football, playing with extreme effort and, playing with awareness too. So we know they have a very talented front seven, so it's going to be a good challenge for us. We're excited about it though.
How much fun are these playoff games? How much fun is it to be able to play in the playoffs?
It's awesome. It's a dream of mine since I was a kid, being able to come in here and play big games. So, I don't take it for granted for sure. I'm having fun with it. Had fun with it last year too. So, just coming in here, having fun with it, and just playing how you can play. That's kind of the main thing you have to do. So it's been fun so far though.
You said fun. I saw Orlando's TikTok of you. Did you figure out where the crib in your closet was, or did you actually figure that out before?
Yeah, I didn't even know what it meant, I guess. But yeah, it was a song apparently from around 2014. So I guess I was listening to that song and tweeted that out.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank y'all.
All right, there's Creed Humphrey. I'm ready to go. Good scheme by the Bengals first go around, or most recent game that they played, and really the other two as well. But he's been in all three last couple of years. This will be number 4 for him, but a number of players for the Chiefs have no idea what last year was like and probably don't care because they weren't on the team. Dunlap doesn't care what last year was like. The rookies don't care about what happened in last year's conference championship game. This is the opportunity for them to play in their first one. We said earlier the crazy stat that this is year number 13 for Carlos Dunlap playing in his first conference championship game, and this is game number 12 for Trent McDuffie playing in his first conference championship game.
That's a good point.
It's amazing. Just situations sometimes you find yourself in,
But the franchise he's with for almost 11 years didn't do anything, and now they've gone to back-to-back ones.
Yes, and a Super Bowl.
And I'm wondering if there's going to be a similar vibe to this offensive line that they had going into the Bucs game. Remember the Bucs were chirping a little bit, and they came out and played probably one of the best games of the season. And afterward, they talked about how much that motivated them.
And how much Andy Reid challenged them.
Challenged them because now you have the challenge of a less than 100% Patrick Mahomes, and you have chirping again from the other side. I wonder if they're going to have similar vibes.
And you have Andy Reid that on the podcast that said
he's called him out.
Said offensive line's going to have to feel that one, and they're going to have to up their game.
Yeah.
So, he challenged them before that Bucs game, coming off the Colts game, and they answered it. And Andy Reid and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Patrick Mahomes all talked at the podium after the game was over about the challenge that the offensive line answered. And we know they were challenged this week because Andy Reid on the podcast said the offensive line have to feel that one. That's they got to step their game up. They got to up their game. So there's the challenge to that offensive line, and we'll see. Again, it's a matter of, to me, I think they'll be able to protect Mahomes. I also wonder how much there will be more of a concerted effort to run the ball. And I know we'd say, well, you want to run it more effectively or execute a little bit better. Well, in the 3 games they've played the Bengals, they've averaged over 5 yards per carry. It's just a matter of how often they have run the football. If they are averaging 5 yards per carry and staying with the run, if they stay with the run more, and it looks like what it did in the conference championship game last year when they were averaging 6 yards per carry, but it was kind of just every carry was 6 yards. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, you got one.
It's a 70-yarder and a bunch of ones and twos.
Here's a 12, here's a 0. Here's a 12, here's a 0. Well, they're averaging, the 6 yards per carry. Yeah, they are. But it was like every time the ball was handed off to Jerick McKinnon. It's like, 6, 7 yards. That's 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4.
I mean, that's an offensive coordinator's dream right there.
Yeah, but setting up short passes like that.
If you get 6 yards every carry, you'll end up at like 3rd and 3 every time.
3rd and 1.
3rd and
1.
4th and
2.
8-ish.
Yeah. Okay. Can somebody ask Casey Pruners what it is? You want to gain 3 yards per
factoring in a
carry.
holding penalty. Okay.
You got to factor in the officials.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Really got to factor him in a few weeks if the Chiefs.
Well, you got to factor in officials. First go around, you got to factor in officials
who's
with
the white hat for this game. Do I know?
It is Torbert.
Uh-huh.
That's right.
Torbert. You got to factor in officials with the non-false start call and the L'Jarius Sneed interception or an incomplete pass that was called a pass interference, which was crazy. But you know what? Here's Orlando Brown.
How much do you feel like the offensive line is embraced and understands, like, not that it's not the case every week, but we got to make sure he's clean this week?
Yeah, big time, man. But, I think that's really the standard heading into any time of year in this year, man. Just with the circumstances being so high, obviously the margin of error is so small and slim. So, man, it's the understanding that, besides him being hurt, it is the AFC Championship.
Orlando, what do you take away from the games that have been so close against these guys and why they've been able to kind of get the better of y'all?
Yeah, man, I think they've just done a really good job, man, playing with effort, executing their plan better than we had in the previous games. And yeah, man, it just kind of comes down to that, in these really big games in the regular season or playoffs against these guys, and really any good team, similar to Buffalo, I would say, for us in the regular season. Like I said, man, the margin of error is just so slim, because these quarterbacks are so good at what they do. Their plan is really good, and, it's all about executing, and I just feel like they've out-executed us in the past.
Specifically, Hendrickson, what does he do well that maybe you have to prepare for a little bit more?
Yeah, man, he does a lot of things well. Obviously, rushing the passer, I think, is one of the best things that he does. And, he does a really good job setting up his moves. It's a chess match out there with him for 60 minutes. And, he's really good at, taking the edge with power and doing things like that. So I have my hands full as usual.
Have you thought about what Victory would mean for everybody in the locker room, given the circumstances that you guys are having to play in?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's really important, because, man, it's week to week in the postseason. And, like I said, man, it's just the AFC Championship. We know it's at stake. We win this game. And, we've been here before as a team. So I think it'll be a real gratifying win.
There are those weeks of the season when, Andy and Andy Heck too, really challenge you guys. Has this been one of those weeks when they've challenged you?
Yeah, big time, man. I would say it's always a challenge, with Coach Heck, just the expectation in the room. And, man, we're truly chasing perfection, which is the reason we have 2 All-Pros in there. And, he does a really good job making sure every single week, no matter who the opponent is, man, he sets the standard high and he approaches the week like that and holds us accountable. And we do the same amongst each other.
Orlando, there's been lots of criticism of your play, contract, all that stuff. What's been the key to you keeping a consistent mindset for this season?
Yeah, man, just understanding that, for me right now, man, the current goal is winning the Super Bowl. And that's really just been my focus. And, as far as all those other things, man, that'll be taken care of by my agent and however things are worked out on the business side. So I just been trying to focus on that goal, man. And to me, that's what's most important right now.
Thank you.
All right, there's Orlando Brown. We'll hear from Travis Kelce. Orlando Brown talked yesterday in the locker room as well, so a lot of the things that he was talking about, we played, and they played earlier on the in the Border Patrol with his conversation about, they're challenged. Yeah, you want to keep Patrick Mahomes clean, but that's how it is every game. But no doubt there's a difference when you know that he's hobbled, that you better be locked in every
Take that extra step
play.
instead of just sending somebody outside.
as
Right?
you-
Maybe take one more little half step.
Absolutely. As you send him around the edge,
That's
just keep following him
tick of a
around the
second,
edge. Yeah,
and that could matter between
no need to
play
stop.
and a non-play. It could matter between a non-injury and an injury.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. The Travis Kelce will be at the podium here very soon. But if you are just joining us, Chris Jones called it Burrowhead multiple times. And then at the end... And Geehaw. That was a joke, though. And at the end, he said...
I think they both were jokes.
Yeah. Thank you. See you guys at Burrowhead on Sunday. That's gotten a lot of play. Jamar Chase has responded to Willie Gay. That's gotten some play. And Jamar Chase saying that, Willie? Is he the linebacker?
He's the linebacker?
The linebacker?
Yeah.
I don't have a response for him. We'll get him. I don't have a response for him.
Wait, I thought it was unacceptable to not know who the player is on the other side of the football. I'm just
no.
a hypocrite.
Yeah, I ain't got no response for him. We're going to get him. I ain't got no response. Oh, well then, do you have a response or not?
So do you think like Willie Gay misunderstood when Andy Reid said, "Listen, guys, say nothing.
Say nothing.
About
Period.
the Bengals.
No matter what, say nothing."
We talked about that. Is like, did Willie Gay think when he was saying nothing, he was like, "I'm saying nothing about their offense. What impresses you? But nothing, or nothing. I'm not saying anything."
Did he think maybe Nate said something different? Did he say what embarrasses you about the Bengals offense? Nothing.
Yes.
Nothing.
I mean, I'm not sure. Not sure.
It's so silly because once they step on the field, they're going to be saying things that are 100 times worse than that.
That's right.
To each other. Back and forth. Chiefs to Bengals, Bengals to Chiefs. About their moms.
But see, the
about,
public can't hear that, so then they're not as tough.
That's right. About their moms, about their girlfriends, about their wives, about their girlfriends and their wives.
About both, the wags. Yeah. By the way, this is just as an aside, I just saw this come across my timeline, that if the Dolphins were to beat the Bills in the wild card, the question was, okay, if they come to Kansas City, is Tua going to be ready to go then? Tua, he's going to be a replacement in the Pro Bowl for either Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes, has still not been cleared in the concussion protocol to participate in the Pro Bowl. So
not even like a flag football game?
He would not have been at Arrowhead in the wild card round had they knocked off Buffalo, or at the divisional round had they knocked off Buffalo in the wild card round. But just came across my timeline that he still remains in the concussion protocol. Would have been Skyler, yeah. Instead, it was Trevor, and now it's Joe coming up this weekend. So against the Chiefs and a mad Chris Jones, a motivated and locked in Frank Clark,
as
a goat Travis Kelce,
as a father of a cup.
No Kelce?
Oh,
just got the word from Lebo.
What?
We are not waiting on Kelce.
Oh no, I wanted to hear from Kelce. So should we break now? Should we break right now? Come back and then we'll do predictions. All right, we'll take a time out. We'll come back. Predictions next.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
This is going to be so stupid, but here we go.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, final segment of the week. Next time we're on In the Zone, we'll be discussing if it is a Super Bowl berth or a super terrible feeling with Chiefs and Bengals. And I continue to get more and more nervous.
Well, stop talking about it, and then stop thinking about it.
I wish.
At 2.
I wish.
Be done talking about it.
Yeah, no. I said yesterday, my weekend is shot. The whole weekend is just
You can have a
nerves,
nice
anxiety.
Jason, do something else on Saturday. Please. You deserve this.
Well,
do it for yourself.
Here's the thing.
Watch Mizzou, Iowa State.
Well,
I'll
hold
watch
on.
the nerves.
I'll watch basketball just to pass the time, but ultimately it feels like this weekend is going to be about passing time to get to Sunday night.
Go
at
for a walk.
5:30.
Paint a picture. You ever been a painter?
No,
What's your
I did not.
artistic method of
I
choice?
bet you'd be a great painter.
But you can paint.
Look at those hands. Those are painting hands
Those
right
are
there.
painting hands, man.
Exactly right. I like painting walls of the house.
There you go. Paint your house
That
on
makes
Saturday.
one of us.
Yes, I really do enjoy painting. I'm weird like that.
Hey, why don't you come over and paint my house
I
on
don't enjoy
Saturday?
painting your house.
Okay,
The
got
actual
it.
painting mine.
painting, when you're actually painting, it's not bad at all. But
The
just
taping?
the setup and the taping and the tearing down and the mess and the messing up, which I'm good at too.
But
No
there's
thanks.
there's no better feeling. Well, there's a lot of better feelings, but
Yeah.
it's a pretty good feeling.
Sex.
Probably.
It's been a long time since Jason's had a new one to put that up against.
It's a pretty good feeling when you take that tape off of the painting and there's nary a little spillage over. It's just straight
I
down.
never have nary. I have the spillage.
Oh, it's such a great feeling.
Which thing are we talking about now?
We're talking about predictions for Chiefs and Bengals. Beards, we start with you, sir. Chiefs 1.5 point favorites.
I'm taking the Bengals.
Whoa!
Final score?
I don't care.
Good for you. I don't care.
Yeah, do we need a final score just write down just to see who's closest to the end? So what's the final score going to be?
Nothing.
Somebody has to win. It's a playoff game.
And PKs don't count against the regular score. So
Somebody has to win, Beards. Final score.
Yeah, 3-2.
3-2. All right. 3-2, Cincy. Mick, or do you want Josh to go first while you're doing your same game parlays on DraftKings?
I'm not a parlay guy anymore. I just don't
Okay.
know. I just regular bets. I'm going to do Chiefs 31 points, Bengals 24 points.
31-24.
I like the
KC.
Chiefs by touchdown.
Brisco?
28-27. And I guess I'll be the principled one, Jason, because you made a promise last time that I don't think you're going to keep. So I'm picking the Bengals. And gosh dang it, I don't feel good about it one bit. I'm not touching the line. I'm not betting on that game's money line. I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about myself as a person. But on the principle, I'm a little worried about just Patrick Mahomes pushing off his back foot. If I make a bet on this game, it'll be a live line once I've seen Patrick Mahomes throw a football. I don't feel good about it. But on the principle, I'll take the Bengals through absolutely gritted teeth.
See, my concern would be more on the Chiefs'
Zero confidence,
defense against the Bengals' offense. I think the
That
Chiefs
too.
are going to score. I do. My concern offensively, I think the Chiefs are going to score. They've scored in all of these games, obviously. Scored 24, 24, and 31. So they ain't getting held to 10 or 14 or 17 or 20. They've got to at least 24, but can the Chiefs' defense stop them? I said on December 5th that I can't sit here and act like, no, I think the Chiefs are the better team. I think the Chiefs are the better team. There's so many things.
Stuff can change.
Stuff changes.
There's so many things that lead me to, I believe the Chiefs will win this weekend. There are a lot of parts of this. But I've picked the Chiefs all 3 times, and they are 0-3.
Oh?
So I'm going to go 28-24 Cincy.
Oh my God, he
I'm
did
the
it!
only one that picked the Chiefs?
Yep.
And I picked them by 7?
Yep.
You did it, Jason.
If I didn't say
It's
that
like
on
you guys
December
have
5th,
no idea what you're talking about. Man.
it's almost like we're just throwing a dart anyway.
Losers.
It's almost like we just throw darts.
Yes.
Because you never know what's going to happen.
God, I feel disgusting.
I do too. I need to go take a shower all weekend.
I'm not showering at all.
Your chronic.